when he says it, he means it, and you don't get to bend it and twist it to what you want. To reach the lost Israelites, the message has to go to everybody, and then the whomsoever wills will come. The ones who he draws will come. By the way, knowledge meaning what? Having a relationship with the truth. Oh, you learned, and you got tons of information, but have you come into a relationship with truth?
When the darkness comes, will you be ready with your light? And when the darkness comes, will you shine so bright? When you're called upon, will you answer him? And when you're called upon, will you be ready for his call? In the new Jerusalem, when there's peace again,
He says, verse 4, neither filthiness nor foolish talking nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather thanksgiving. So he's saying, not only should these things not be what's your reputation, but neither should filthiness nor foolish talking or coarse jesting, which are not fitting. So what are those things? Well, foolish talking in the Greek has a lot of a context of buffoonery. I don't know what the right word is to explain. Looking like a fool, being like a joke almost. He says, often in the context of boasting. In other words, you talk big and then you look like a buffoon when it doesn't come out. He said, stop talking so big. There's nothing big about you. You're supposed to be a humble servant. And so this foolish talking has a lot of the context of it boastful. We're coming into the season where people will be posting all kinds of things about Christmas. And you'll see a lot of quote-unquote believers absolutely mocking and attacking anybody that would consider anything to do with that. Now, I will absolutely state for the record that there's nothing appropriate about celebrating that. However, there's also nothing appropriate about you attacking and mocking those that do. Because that's where they are. And that's kind of this foolish talk, I think, that's going on here in verse 2. Because now you're saying how great and wonderful and smart you are and how dumb everybody else is. Because you'll see people posting, what's wrong with you, you dumb, stupid Christians, blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute, you were them 5 minutes ago. Don't do that. Because they're not dumb and stupid. If anything, you're acting dumb and stupid by attacking them that way because you know that's not the reason they're there. They're there because Abba has not opened their eyes and ears just like you were before you understood it. So don't attack them as being dumb, unless you want to say that you were just as dumb. But you couldn't see it just like they can't see it. And so that to me is part of what it's talking about here, foolish talking, buffoonery, often in the context of boasting. There's also here in the same idea, this coarse jesting. Coarse jesting. So what is coarse jesting? It's often the context here is having a quick comeback. You know people like that no matter what you say, they got a quick comeback and they're got a little zinger for you, right? They're going to roast you and give you a quick zinger. He's saying, don't do that. He says, it's often this kind of a quick response that is either vulgar or causes harm or shame or embarrassment. Oh, but we're so proud of ourselves of how quick we are. Oh, I got that quick, sharp comeback. Boy, and I'll tell you what, I used to be about the quickest around. That's nothing to brag about, though. Because you know what I did? I either said something vulgar, or I hurt somebody's feelings, or I embarrassed them, or I shamed them, or did something else. So that's something to be proud of? To mock somebody in some way? Because that's what coarse jesting is about. Coarse jesting is in some way causing harm, shame, or embarrassment in your fun. You want to make coarse jesting? Do it on yourself. Make fun of yourself. Don't make fun of anybody else. And actually, you shouldn't do that either, but you understand what I'm saying. Shouldn't even make fun of yourself. So he's talking about coarse jesting. He said, these are not fitting, but rather give thanks. He says, but rather give thanks. See, we have a big problem with appreciation. We talked about that during the prayer time a little bit. We really have a problem appreciating what we have and where we are and where we get to live and the things that we get to enjoy. And so appreciate what you have instead of mocking others who don't have. No foolish talk, no coarse jesting. Verse 5, for this you know that no one who whores, nor an unclean one, nor one greedy of gain, who is an idolater, has any inheritance in the reign of Messiah and Elohim. Wow. No one who whores or unclean one or greedy of gain or an idolater has any inheritance in the kingdom. So you want to be careful of the things that you say and the things that you do, because it may cost you your inheritance. Not because I say so, not because even Shaul said so, just because it's true. Because what's going on? In the biggest picture of them all, what's going on? The creator of the universe is watching you to decide whether or not he wants to live with you forever. And I don't think he wants to live with people that are filthy and foolish talking and coarse jesting and doing. Do you want to live in a forever with people like that? Oh, but you don't mind it when you do it. You only mind it when they do it. Oh, I used to love that the best. That was the thing that really got me the best is that, as a teenager going into college, I was one of those guys that, boy, I could zing you right back as fast as lightning. But you know what? There were people that would zing me first, and if I gave them one back, oh, they would get so mad. Because most people, as the old saying goes, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. But you know what? You shouldn't have to take it, and you shouldn't be dishing it out. Why should we have to deal with that? Because some of you would, we have this double standard. This is part of the hypocrisy that's in the heart, is that we all think I should be able to do it, but you can't. We're not thinking that consciously, but we do. But then when somebody does what we do, we get all upset. Wow, can you believe so-and-so did blah, blah, blah? And I say, why does that bother you? I watch you do that every day. And then they look at me like, how dare you? Well, no, how dare you get all upset because somebody does something to you that you do to everybody else too? But that's our thing. We have a very incredible, we live a life of double standard. Heart issue. I can do it, but you can't. You should let me do whatever I want, but I'm not going to let you do whatever you want. We see this playing out all the time. It's part of that heart issue. The heart is all messed up. We can't make correct decisions.
We've been walking in a straight line. Where will it end? I know I've sinned, but I've learned my lesson. So please forgive us. Now I ask you to hear my prayer tonight. Take me to the land of freedom. Give me salvation. We've been walking for almost 40 years, and now I'm shedding tears because I know I've sinned, but I'm asking, will you take me to the land of freedom? Now you take us.
Come, let us praise the Lord and sing him a new song. Come, let us sing his praise together with the saints, with all the righteous ones. Let Israel rejoice in her Creator. Let the children of Eretz Zion be glad in their King. Let them praise his name with dancing, making music with the tambourine and harp. For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He will crown the humble with salvation. Let the saints rejoice in this order. Sing and dance unto the Lord. Come, let us praise the Lord and sing him a new song. Come, let us sing his praise together with the saints, with all the righteous ones. Let Israel rejoice in her Creator. Let the children of Eretz Zion be glad in their King. Let them praise his name with dancing, making music with the tambourine and harp. For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He will crown the humble with salvation. Let the saints rejoice in this order. Sing and dance unto the Lord. Let them praise his name with dancing, making music with the tambourine and harp. For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He will crown the humble with salvation. Let the saints rejoice in this order. Sing and dance unto the Lord. Sing and dance unto the Lord. Sing and dance unto the Lord.
Arise and shine. Arise and shine. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. And the nations shall come unto thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see, they gather themselves all together. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. And the sons of those who afflicted thee, and all who have despised you will bow down. Then they shall call you the city of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. Oh, arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee.
Judge of Israel. How I praise you, Lord, you're the rock of my salvation. You I praise from shore to shore, in all your creation. Let it ring from mountain tops, let my voice proclaim tender mercies of my Lord. Yeshua is his name. Yeshua is his name.
Amen. Amen. Oh, Father, we come before you on this, your Sabbath day, a day that you gave us from the beginning of all things and created it as a time that you knew we would need, a time that we would need to put aside all our cares and concerns of the world and our focus on worldly and self things and to focus completely on you and the things above. And so, Father, we thank you for this day, a day when we put aside all those other things and focus on you, a day when we can be with each other, a day when we can be restored and refreshed and rejuvenated and re-energized for the next week. And so, Father, we thank you for creating this time, a time to meet with you. Father, we ask that you would be here today, guiding and leading all things so that all things would be to your glory and honor, and that we may be pleasing in your sight as we appreciate and we sing, we dance, and we do all kinds of things to express the love and the joy that overflows in our hearts as we come to you in obedience and submission under the authority of our Messiah, your Son, Yeshua. Amen. 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 You may be seated. All right. Excellent job with the praise team again, as always. Unplug your uke. All right, so this is the time in our tradition here at the congregation in MTY when we take up praise reports and prayer needs within the congregation. And so this is our tradition. There's no scripture that tells you how to run a service. And so, as a matter of fact, it's funny because that was the very first study that I ever sort of led as a small Bible study group was what does the Bible actually say about what to do on Shabbat as far as services? Come to find out, almost nothing. So we do certain things by tradition, and so we feel like after the singing and the praise, it gets us into a really good place to be vertically connected and come before him with our praises as well as our needs and concerns. So if you're here locally, we do have a mic that's going around. Nate's got the mic. If you're on the live stream, we've got Rob and Kurt on the live stream desk, and they will take down what you have on live stream. Okay, so we'll begin with Rabbi Tom, it looks like.
Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I would like to pray for Kevin in Lebanon. He's still recovering from his fall and a broken arm, and also Aaron in Idaho. But I would like to ask the congregation, please, to pray for the mother of my 6th great-grandchild. She was, Friday, she was released from prison, and she was sent to a rehab facility. And I feel there's some hope for her, and I'd like to pray that her rehabilitation is successful and she can resume being a good mother to her children. Amen.
Amen. We always have a hope for redemption and for people to make teshuvah, to turn their lives around. Isn't that what we always hope for ourselves as well? Of course, some of us might say, yeah, well, that's important for people like us, but not them. Well, who's the them? Some of them are looking at you like you're the them. Let's just praise Abba that we all get a chance to make teshuvah, to turn around and get our lives right. Amen? Amen. Michelle?
I wanted to ask prayer for Jordan. She woke up this morning. She's not quite sure if it's a cold or maybe allergies, but she didn't want to chance it, so she decided to stay home. And also, I know Catherine's really sick with the flu and being pregnant. The Carmonas, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are struggling with it. So.
Amen. We'll certainly pray for all those people. All right, coming around this way. Okay, Tamara.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
First of all, I want to give Abba the praise. This morning on our way here, I took a little nap and I woke up and my vertigo was really tripping me out. But I sat in the car for a minute and I just prayed and just believed in his healing and it went away. And that's the first time that's ever happened. So thank you, Abba. Also, Rob gave you guys the announcement that I did get accepted into the program, the RN program. So my prayer now is that my petition to be a resident would go through. Looks like they are considering it, so it looks like that might go through, and that'll save us a lot of money. And also, if you just pray for me and my family that we adjust to this new scheduling, that would be grateful. I'd be grateful.
You certainly can do that, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, who's next? Okay, Stephanie.
Forgive me for staying seated. Many of you saw the post, and I appreciate all the well wishes, but certainly praising Abba that Sierra's accident wasn't any worse, but also just for quick healing for her.
Amen. Okay, who's next? Okay, Nate.
Just a quick praise report that Dawn and the kids made it to New York safely, and they were able to get situated with some water and all that because it was winterized. And prayers now that everything that my wife has set out to do, that it would be successful and that she would bring everybody home safely, and mostly her. Hi, Dawn, I miss you. Miss you, kids. Love you guys. I'm lonely. To kind of go off of what Tamara was saying, the prayers for going through nursing school, yeah, she's going to, and the family, out of all my military training and everything, that I think it's a different kind of stress. So, yeah, if you could pray for her and for the whole family, because it is very stressful.
Okay, absolutely. All right, wait, come back here. Okay, Manny wants the mic.
I just wanted to last minute just ask for prayer for Rabbi, just because there's so much poop in the background that he has to deal with all the time, and
It's a technical term. It's a spiritual. Yeah, it's a scriptural thing, actually. Yeah.
Unfortunately, dealing with it is right for all of us. But I just appreciate you for all that you put up with and all you deal with on a constant basis, a ton of which we don't know about. I get to see some of the stuff that happens in the background, and it's unfortunate that there's so much culling of the herd going on too, things that we go through. It saddens me to an extent to see so much people so easily swayed and flocking together. It's unfortunate and it's sad. It's sad, and I'm struggling, so I ask for prayer for me too, because I struggle with anger towards that, I don't know how to deal with it often, and I try my best to just vent out and speak it out and let Abba deal with it and talk to you about stuff, man, I no matter what I go through, what my family goes through, and, I go through that teeter-tottering of people that, just leave and take advantage of the ministry and just take off, and they take any benevolence or they take advantage in some other way. It angers me, and I don't know how to deal with it sometimes. It really ticks me off.
We're going to start a focus group for that, actually.
I'd like to sign up right now, please.
My wife will be a part of it as well.
So anyway, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you for all that you do, because, man, you're the man. What you do, what you continue to do, and what you take, the amount of bullets you take all the time, and then you just shrug it right off. I can only pray that I could be a quarter of the man you are when it comes to that. So thank you, teacher. Appreciate that.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Listen, look, we have to figure out emotionally how do I want to explain this? We have to figure out how to accept the limitations on what people will do in response to what we do. In other words, we are required scripturally to do everything the best we can, to represent our King the best we can, and our Messiah the best we can. But that's as far as it goes. You cannot control and really influence as much as you'd like how people are going to respond to that. Okay? And so that's number one, is that we have to just accept that limitation. There will be those that appreciate whatever you do, whatever I do, whatever, because all of us are doing different things for different people. And there are others that will not appreciate it. Others will take advantage. And others that will completely misread everything and be easily swayed by somebody. So my solution, my recommendation to you, so we're going to have a little life coach moment here. Okay, my recommendation is this. You have to understand, all of us individually come from different worlds before we ever came to truth. Yes. And in those different worlds, we were different people. Yes. And when we were different people, some of us were okay, some of us were pretty awful. Some of us had all kinds of different spectrums and moments of pretty scary, pretty stuff you maybe don't ever want to share with anybody. Okay? Because some of you shared some stuff with me. I know that nobody's going to be saying about any of that to anybody. Some of you have stuff you won't even tell me. Because it's just stuff that needs to just be left to itself. It's not you anymore. Okay? And we all deal with that. Now, what I've learned to do in my life, this is going to be my kind of teaching from my own experience, is that I generally, when people would come to me, for example, even in college, this happened, I'm going way back, high school, college, people say, well, I can't believe you're talking or hanging out with so-and-so. Don't you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but that's not what I've experienced. That's right. Now, they may be all that, but if I've not experienced it, that's right. I'm not going to, yeah, your mic's on, actually. But I appreciated all the that's rights, okay? But I always, and you know, and my wife has talked to me about that. Others have said, well, you know, what about, I said, I only will go by what I've personally seen and experienced. Okay, so now let's bring this around to me now. You know, some of you, will listen to other people talk about whatever they've either, quote, claimed they've experienced or things that they've heard or whatever it is. But you need to react to your leadership based on what have you experienced. Okay, what have you actually come into in your engagement with the leadership? What has your experience been? How have you been treated? Have you seen the stuff that people are talking about or not? Of course, if you're looking for stuff, you'll find stuff even if it isn't there. But are you objectively, unemotionally, just assessing the situation? Because I have people come to me about you guys. Some member comes about another member. And they'll want to try to get me on board with them against that member. And I'm like, but I haven't experienced that or seen that. And maybe you're misunderstanding it, but we could talk about it, maybe get the other member in and sit down and try to work it all out. But I'm not going to, and you should not either, be influenced by the negative input from other people. Okay, because we have this thing, I remember when I was in a multi-level marketing thing, they call it SNIOPT, susceptible to the negative influences of other people. Okay? And we are, unfortunately, highly susceptible. Okay, and it hurts and it's disappointing. Because we know what happened when we were going through the things that came up just a couple of months ago where people were doing some attacking on me, and that's fine. These things happen to everybody. But it's interesting to see who's negatively influenced by these things. Especially people that I know had experienced very differently personally with me. And so I can understand why there are people like Manny, who I know love what we're doing and love me very much, and he's my brother, and he sees these things happening. It hurts him, and it angers him because that's a hard thing to watch. But really, we need to understand that all of us are guilty of this at times. We do not just address people based on our own understanding and knowledge. We are too easily influenced by others. And what's even more important is what you'll do is, because your friend comes to you, this is important you understand this, you naturally would assume your friend would never exaggerate or misinterpret or, you understand what I'm saying here? So after all, as soon as your friend tells you, now you're right there with them against that other person. Whether it's their friend or their spouse or whoever it is, one person comes to you. Listen, people, if somebody comes to you complaining about their spouse, don't you believe one word of it. That doesn't mean it's not true, but don't you believe it. Because you don't know where it's coming from. It may have been like this big. I know people can see me online here, but really they're making it sound like it's this big. You don't know. Or maybe it's this big and they made it sound like it's this big. They might be understating it. Don't believe them. Be there for them. Encourage them to get counsel and help and do what they need to do. But don't just believe one side of a story. Because you will definitely get the wrong thing more often than not. They're painting a picture out of their pain, out of their frustration, out of their emotions, and generally speaking, that picture gets painted a little askew, or a lot askew. And then what happens? And by the way, don't you be talking about your spouses to other people, because you will now be embarrassed and regret when you go ahead and fix it, and the people are like, what do you mean you fixed it? Well, it really wasn't as bad as I said, blah, 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 blah. But you made it sound like they were the worst person on the planet and this and that and the other thing. Well, yeah, well, you know. Out of that, don't let your emotions drive, and then you talk to people in that emotional place. And that's what happens with ministry as well. People have an offense that's perceived, whether it happened or not, or some other thing, and then they start to spread that or come out of that abundance of frustration or pain or whatever, and it just metastasizes, and it becomes a cancer in the body. The root of bitterness that spreads. Don't do this. This is why we're encouraged, if you have an issue with your brother, go to your brother. Do you know how many of the people that have had issue or thought they had issue with me based on some of these things that, were brought to people's attention a few months ago came to me directly? 0. Okay? 0. None of them came to me directly. Now, they might claim they did, but I can assure you nobody did. And that's really the thing, is that don't listen to what people claim. Oh, I went to Rabbi and he rejected me, he did it. Well, maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. You need to find out from hearing the other side of it. Because I can assure you, nobody's come to me directly to address anything directly. And certainly they didn't do it before causing a stir in the body. Do you want people to treat you that way? The old do unto others, love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, well, the way we treat people, you wouldn't want anybody to do it to you. And so this is shameful in the body. Let me take it back full circle. All of us are worthy of death. So don't say, oh, well, I wasn't such a bad person. You're still worthy of death. So if whatever you did is worthy of the death penalty, then you're coming from a place just like equal to anybody else, where your life earned you the death penalty. Therefore, you needed to get your life right. All of you have treated people horribly at times. All of you have done things that you would never want others to know. All of you have done shameful things. And hopefully that's not who you are now. And we should all be treating each other based on how you are now. Because some of you may see somebody walk into this congregation or wherever you go to a congregation, and a person will walk in that you knew from 12, 15 years ago, and you'll be like, oh, they don't know what kind of horrible person that person is. I need to warn everybody. Well, what if they're not that person anymore? Shouldn't that have always been your prayer? That the person will have changed? We used to have a men's group. We'll start it again here soon. And I remember a couple of people that when they got to give their little story, their testimony about kind of who introduced themselves, had said, look, there are things in my life that I can tell you I definitely regret and I'm ashamed of, but I'm not telling nobody about it. Because you don't need to look at me that way. I'm not saying I said that. I'm saying every person could have said that, and some of them did say that. Because if I told you, or if you told me all those things in your life, I may be tainted in how I look at you now. And that would be unfortunate because you're not that person anymore. And that's the important thing. Do you want Yahweh to look at us like the person we were? You're toast if that's the case. I mean, there's no point. You'd want him to look at you as you are right now. And every time you make teshuvah and start again, you want him to look at you in that nice, new, clean, fresh start and commitment to change and go forward. Now, thankfully, he says he forgets and separates that whole thing. It's like as far as the heavens are from the earth, east is from west. Yeah, but can we do that? Oh, no. You don't know what that person was like. Yeah, but what about what you were like? Well, I wasn't so bad. Bad enough to get the death penalty. Every one of us needed Yeshua to die and be resurrected. Not a single one of you is exempt from that. We should stop doing this. Don't be so susceptible and influenced by, because some of you will watch the congregation grow and then get smaller and grow and get smaller. And some of you will read into that and panic and go, why are so many people leaving? And people will. Because it's called choices. Everybody makes their own choices. It's called pruning. But the Father didn't necessarily cut them out, or leadership didn't throw them out. They just decided and were inspired that this is not the place they need to be. There's a pruning going on. Guess what? We had an awful lot of growth lately. That means some people are going to leave. It happens. There's a growth, and then there's a falling away. Haven't you seen this in every group you've ever been a part of? There's a growth, and then there's people leave. This flavor, or whatever this is not for everybody. And no matter what plausible excuse people come up with, it's just an excuse. Okay? And so but I want to do this, though. Don't judge them. When people leave, don't judge them. Don't attack them. Don't think horrible things about them. They've got their own journey. Okay? They have to go on that journey. But also, you don't have to kind of be codependent with it and keep hanging out with them and keep being a part of that and allowing that possible negative influence. Oh, but Rabbi, they never say anything about you when we're... That's not the point. Okay? You are we'll call it a tribe. Okay, we're a congregation, we're a tribe. Other people have decided they don't want to be a part of this tribe. They're not just rejecting me, they're rejecting you. So why do we need to, look, don't think bad, don't curse them, but why do you need to hang out and spend time and be friends with them? Let them go on their journey. It's the same idea of those that leave the camp. You're not supposed to go out there and hang out with them. They're supposed to have them see how isolated it is to be outside the camp and decide that they want to be back in the camp. Our desire is for everybody that's ever left Beth Shalom and MTY to come back. I hold absolutely zero negative against anybody, and you can ask my wife, she doesn't know how I do that, but I hold nothing negative against anybody that's ever left. I can assure you. You can talk to people who have had conversations with me. But I'm not going to hang out with them until they come back. I'm not going to have some sort of a hybrid mixed relationship with them until they come back. But I hold nothing, I sit down with any one of them, have a conversation, and work something out if they want to come back. Does that make sense? Does everybody get that? You should imitate me as I'm imitating Messiah. This, I believe, is Messiah's way of doing it. He would not be hanging out with people that left, but he'd be desiring that they would come back. Oh, but he hung out with the publicans. They weren't people that left. They were people that were already outside. So some of you have friends that are already outside, and you're trying to be a light to them. That's different. People that leave are not the same as people that were never in. Does that make any sense? I don't have a problem with you having friends that are not in, so to speak, whatever in means to you, in covenant, in MTY, whatever, in the body. But why would you spend time with people that have left you? They've chosen to leave you as a group. And yet people still do. I don't get it. I'm not mad at it if you do it. I don't think it's necessarily against Torah if you do it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because I don't think it helps anything. If you know you're right and you believe you're right to be where you are and you think they've made a mistake going where they're going, why would you be a part of supporting, encouraging, and befriending that in that way? It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not saying to shun them. Just say, look, I'm sorry, you've made a choice, you're going in a different direction. I hope you do well in your direction, but that changes our relationship. I'm part of this. You've chosen not to be. That changes things. I don't know how else to put it. Any comments or questions on that before we go to the next thing? Because I did my little mini sermon. Okay, Daweed wants to say something. Okay, now let me just be clear before he speaks. Please understand, I'll say it one more time. Hold no ill or negative against anyone who has ever been a part of this or any other part of the body and has chosen a different path. Love them. Pray for them. Support their journey, saying, look, I know you have to be on your journey. Go do what you got to do. Okay? But that's the limit of the relationship. I'm not going to lunch with them. I'm not having them over my house to hang out. I'm not doing those things. Now, if they want to come hang out to talk to me about possible return, absolutely anytime, 24/7. Okay? All right, Daweed.
So I have a lot of personal experience with one of my own family members who decided to leave, and leave for, from my point of view, erroneous and totally bogus reasons.
He's talking about leaving MTY, not just leaving family.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this same family member I couldn't even invite to my own wedding because of her attitudes towards me and towards MTOI. I just could not. And so the point is that I understand fully what Rabbi is talking about. I cannot just simply go and have a familial even relationship with this person anymore, just simply because of the way they have chosen to position themselves in life. And having been in this congregation and then deciding to leave the way they have. I just can't see my way to just pretending like that's okay. I can't.
Amen.
And I ditto everything that he said. I wish I was a quarter of the man you are, because I wouldn't have as much issues with not just that person, but everyone who has ever decided to just leave or give you grief or whatever over the past or whatever may have happened or didn't happen or was acquitted from whatever. You know what I mean?
Amen. Look, the thing is, the family member he's talking about, we still love. We still desire reconciliation. We have, as we always do if we have an opportunity, we map out the path to reconciliation. So this family member knows what they would need to do to reconcile and to fix things that way. So that's very important that we understand it. And by the way, I appreciate you saying things like, you know, being half the man or a quarter of the man. Realize that we're only talking about the man I am now. You guys don't know the man I was when I was 18 or 20 or 30 or whatever. You just know me now. Okay? No, I wasn't a terrible guy all the time, whatever. We all have our good moments and bad moments in our past. What I'm just saying is that's referring to what they've experienced now. In his life, what he knows of me for the last 2 years. Okay, that experience. As opposed to not knowing me from before that. Okay? Because some people say, oh, yeah, but. Well, we got a yeah, but on everybody in this room. Everybody on the live stream. Because everybody was somebody else before. Some of you were somebody else multiple times. You've gone through lots of different transitions. Some of those transitions were better than others. But the manifestation of you as you, the way you are now, is only the latest version of you. And hopefully it keeps getting more and more Yeshua-like, and it keeps changing going forward. And you'll look back on now going, wow, I've come so far from even that place right now. Nobody's arrived. All right, who's next? All right, Candace, and then we'll bring it back up to Tricia.
I wasn't going to say anything today, but when you got on the subject, I have to say something. I got into this, whatever you call this, Messianic, Hebrew roots or whatever, in the fall of 2008. And I hadn't really received a lot of acceptance or love or very good teaching. And I got to the point I wanted to give up. And then at the gentle assistance of my friend Linda, to check out MTOI. And I finally did about 2 years ago. And I have to say it's been life-changing. I don't know what the problem is with other people. I just know I was a horrible person. And I'm a better person today.
Amen. Amen. Appreciate that.
And I just don't understand how, it just kind of really hurts and makes me want to cry to know that people would be slanderous against the ministry and against our rabbi. And I don't understand it. It just puzzles me because since I've been here, I've been happier than I've ever been in my life.
Amen.
And I don't have a man on me, I'm not by myself, but I'm happier. And my daughter, when I talked to her the other day, even noticed, Mom's really happy. And I am. And since I've come here, I have found love and acceptance. And I belong. I really belong here.
Oh, man, that's a good job on all of you to help her make her feel that way.
I have had, I guess I had to go through all the bad stuff I went through so I could appreciate this.
Oh, man.
Because I just really needed this in my life.
Amen. Here's the irony, and I appreciate that, Candace. The irony is that a good high percentage of people that will leave will be people that I absolutely helped. Helped financially, helped counseling, helped in relationships, helped them with their personal junk. I mean, these are people that after they made, like Candace described, I'm a better person now, I'm happier, and all these successes, and those people still will listen to the negative influences of other people. Yet their personal experience was one of victory, progress, growth in terms of what I've done with them. But remember, Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Messiah. He says, doesn't imitate me because I'm Paul. Okay? I mean, why does anybody, if they're going to use those standards, why does anybody think King David was a great guy? He had a guy murdered and took his wife. Why does anybody listen to Paul? Paul was killing all the early church believers, all the early believers. Because they changed and became men of Yah. And so where's our criteria? What they did or who they are at the time that we're interacting with them? That's just, And some of you might say, oh, you're just trying to defend stuff you did. No, I'm not. None of us can really defend anything we did. We all did stuff. Go look in your own mirror. Deal with the plank in your own eye. You got your own stuff. But hopefully you're not that person anymore. That's the key. All right? I'm not the person I was when I was single since getting married. Married transforms you. I'm not the same person I was when I got married and when I had kids, because kids transforms you. I'm not the same person I was when I was married with kids and then I have ministry. Ministry transforms you. All kinds of things transform you. And so as you go into these different phases and you change and you grow, hopefully you're burying the old man. By the way, that's a verse that we all are familiar with. The old man needs to be buried because that old man is ugly. That's a part of you don't need to have alive anymore. It needs to stay in that grave and not come out. But we all have that. And let us not be all hypocritical thinking, oh, but. But what? Why do you think David is in scriptures the way he is? Because you need to know that you can have that level of really despicable behavior turn around and become a great king. The top of the lineage of Messiah, because he was promised that the king would come from David. He did some awful things. More awful than probably anything any of us have ever done. Yet he's the only person we hear being called a man after Yahweh's own heart. How is that possible? Because anybody can change. So my encouragement again is treat people and interact with people based on how they treat you in your personal experience. And then if that's not good and that you're having a bad experience, then go get someone to help you with that. And do not go spreading that. That's called Lashon Hara. You don't go spread that to other people. Because just because it was your experience doesn't mean it's everybody's experience. Maybe for some reason there's something you're doing that's bringing that bad thing out of the other person. Maybe there's stuff you need to work on. Maybe that's why you get treated that way and nobody else does. I don't know. Everybody's situation is unique. Get help, get counsel, and figure it out. But let's be careful with that. So I appreciate, Manny. See what you started? One little comment. But it's important. You know why? Because this is an ongoing thing we're going to keep experiencing. We're going to grow. People are going to stay. Some are going to leave. We're going to grow. People are going to stay. People are going to go. And not everybody that goes is going to go quietly. And it's okay. It's a filter. Okay? It's just a filter. People come up to me often and say, and this over the years, when somebody would go off and do something, why don't you make them stop? Because only people that would listen to them need to go anyway. Do we understand that? Some people need to go. I won't throw them out. Abba will filter them out. He'll give them reasons to leave. But some people need to go because they're not ready for maybe where we are or what we're doing, emotionally or whatever it is. So they need to go and experience some other things before they might be ready for this. I don't know. I'm not trying to be condescending and look. It's not that they're not smart enough or whatever. They just might need to go experience something in terms of not being ready. There must be something else they need to do. Abba causes or allows. He's got them all on their journey. I have no problem. I've been on my own journeys. I don't have a problem with anybody going on their journey. Okay? We just got to accept that. It's hard, though, because you know why? You become emotionally connected with them. You fall in love with them. You have relationship, and then it gets severed to some degree, and it hurts. How do you think he feels every time we do those kind of things? It hurts. He gets disappointed. It breaks his heart to watch us do the things we do. Anyway, good comment. Now back to Tricia.
How do I follow that? Oh. Praise Yah. Wow. So I've been in this journey under you for a complete 6 years. I'm in my 7th year. It hasn't been the easiest journey because of the mindlessness world that I came from. I continually am exposed to PTSD. It's getting calmer and calmer because of the traumatics of my past. The only way I have been able to survive each of these attacks that come, which are an emotional attack because the brain doesn't have a pathway to the truth. And the only way for the pathways to get renewed, to get understanding, to cut out of that situation is to call on for prayer and to trust my leadership when I need prayer. Last night I had one of those. This is something very common. You don't know when I reach out and ask for prayer what I'm dealing with 99% of the time. But it's these needing pathways to have understanding to what was just triggered. They're very real, and they can cause a person to run or to hide. It can cause me to cause an offense. It can find an offense and going, why I shouldn't be here. And every time I ask for prayer, that pathway gets renewed and shows me the truth, which is Yeshua, that brings me back to consciousness so I can keep going forward. I'm very, very thankful for this leadership and how Abba uses the obedience and our submission, even though we don't agree with certain things. And that's for me because of how many pathways he has to keep continually changing in my brain so I can continually see the truth. Mm-hmm. With that said, there is a very important unspoken prayer request that I have been asking for 6 years. Well, 4 years. And if I have found favor with Abba, I'm coming before him again. If he would just please answer this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, amen. And by the way, you know, this is a good example of how simplistic and effective a relationship can be. Tricia will text me, prayer needed. That's all it will say. I'll text back praying. And I don't always hear back what happened or not, but it doesn't have to be where I need to know every detail, and she doesn't give it, but generally it's effective. 100% she said effective, okay? And I'm just putting out a general, whatever she needs or whatever's going on, Abba, you know. So it's just that quick a thing, and it's that simplistic, you know, because some of us want to complicate things way more than they need to be, all right? And so I don't need to know. I just know that she's going through something. She's coming to leadership. I have a covering relationship with her, so she comes to me in that relationship as well. And so the simple text just goes back praying. That's it. Okay? And I don't always hear back that it worked or didn't work, because she's already told me mostly it does, so I just assume if I don't hear back that it's working. And so it's not me, it's him, and he's doing what he's doing. But that's how simple it can be. Okay? Because some of you want to call up and spend a 2-hour conversation for something that might be as simple as just saying, hey, would you just pray for me? Okay? And let Abba work it out. Okay? So not that I don't need to, I don't want to discourage you. You might need to get that stuff off your system. And sometimes Tricia does, and we have those longer conversations. But, just to give you an idea of how simple it can be. Okay, who's next? Okay, in the back here.
I would just like prayer for Candace. She's homesick, lost her voice this morning, and she's trying to go back to school. So direction on that. We're trying to use some of my GI Bill to roll over to her for the family, and so she can go to school with no cost.
Okay, certainly. Okay, who's next? Okay, over after Rabbi Tom, we've got Amy in the front here. Go ahead, Rabbi Tom.
All right, thank you. If I may elaborate on what was said, I've told every one of our children and some of the grandchildren that basically there's 3 types of people who come into your life. And one thing that we have to remember is that you are who you associate with. And there are people with whom we must not associate with. They'll just drag us down. They'll lead us astray. They'll lead us off the right path, either intentionally or unintentionally. And the other 2 types of people are friends and acquaintances. Now, acquaintances can be good people, but what the world would term good people, but they're not in Torah. They're not walking Torah. It doesn't mean they're bad people. They're just people that we know, we're on friendly terms with. But if we keep that in mind and we consider our friends as those who are here in in Beth Shalom and MTOI, then we're not going to go off the path. We're not going to leave.
Amen. I appreciate that. Again, we don't want to sound cultish, like, anybody's free to come or go. But it's what kind of relationship do you want to have with them? Don't shun them. Don't attack them if they go. But we don't need to be, the relationship does change dynamically. It has to, Okay, Amy?
Well, this is kind of a personal praise report because I've had, just an unspoken prayer request from myself to the Father for a long time, wanting to learn to feel like I'm getting to know people better and loving them. And this kind of goes with what you've been saying with what Manny said, but maybe from a different angle, in that sometimes I have a hard time, like I've been here for a while and I've been listening to your teachings and under your covering for quite a while, and we have the new people that come in, and they come, they just come as they are. As you always say, come as you are, please don't stay as you are. Or when please don't stay that way, you would say. And so I've been reading, the Torah portion, and I felt like this week's Torah portion had so much to say to us that we're supposed to be, his set-apart people. Our nation of Israel is we're not to do the things that the nations around us are doing that he's pulled us out of. And so there was a lot that, he kind of smacked me upside the head with. But I'll just share this one, and it was out of chapter 19 of Vayikra, and 33 and 34. It says, "When a stranger sojourns with you in your land, do not oppress him. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim." So I just really felt like he was saying to me that, hello, do you really need me to shove that mirror any closer to your face? Like, do you remember when you first came and you had all your baggage and you had all your mixture, And so it was kind of helpful for me, because sometimes I do get angry of how leadership is treated and disrespected, or even how other members of, our body, our tribe are treated. But I have to remember, too, that, I came here once to be a part, and obviously I'm still here. But I had my mixture and my baggage, but under your teaching and you being my teacher and my covering, hopefully people see growth. So I was just really praising the Father that he could kind of put that in my face and just remind me of where he brought me from, and maybe have a little compassion, patience, kindness, because he said that we are to love the stranger as ourself. So am I, those things to myself, am I being kind to myself and patient and all those other things, so I can be that to the other people?
Amen.
So I just wanted to share that.
Appreciate that. Let me clarify something, though, that goes with that, is that the stranger there is the ger. So it means it's the person that's looking to join the group, not someone who's exited or just hanging out outside the group. And he says, remember, you were sojourners in Egypt. That means they were still part of the group. You just happened to be a part of the group and you were in Egypt. Okay, so you were, strangers of the covenants at that point, so to speak, but you were still, the group was in Egypt. And so when it says, and you shall, treat the sojourner with a certain respect, etc., it's talking specifically about the one who is looking to join, not the one who left or the one who has no interest in joining. So let's be careful. Now, that's not to say we treat them horribly, but we just have to understand that that particular verse is talking about how we treat those that are looking to be a part of and recognizing where they're coming from. I know that's what you were saying. I just wanted to clarify for everybody else to be clear, because you see the word stranger, and we could apply that in any way we want. The Hebrew word there is ger, and ger means a proselyte, someone who's looking to become a part, but they're not sure they're ready to make that commitment yet, so they're kind of doing research, experiential research. They're hanging out within the body, they're looking at what's going on, and they're expected, by the way, as a ger, to have the same laws apply to them as it does for someone who's in. They're expected to walk it out. Like if you came and lived in my house, I'd expect you to live by the rules of my house. Well, if you're going to be a ger in the nation, you got to live like you're part of the nation of Israel, so to speak, right? If you're part of the Commonwealth of Israel. That's why it says there's one Torah for the ger, for the stranger, and for the native born. And so let's just be clear about that. Okay, who's next? Okay, Christina?
Well, I wasn't going to get up and say anything, but Amy, you really touched on a lot of stuff that I had been, I've walked through everything that from Manny all the way up to what Amy was saying. I've only been here since January, but I've seen a lot of people, I have a big debt to this congregation. If seriously, my life would not be what it is right now if it hadn't been for the leadership here. And so when I see something happening that people are attacking leadership, in particular Rabbi or Julie, it really upsets me, and I've had to come to the conclusion that first of all, I want you, Rabbi and Julie, and all of the leadership to know that I pray for you daily. And the Bible says, the scripture says, we're supposed to pray for those who despitefully use us. How much more so should we be doing it for each other?
Amen.
And not only that, but if someone offends me or they do something that they're not supposed to, my kids have looked at me and said, I can't believe they acted like that. I'm like, first of all, give them room to be human and pray for them, because it says that we're supposed to pray for those who despitefully use us, and we'll pray for them immediately. And the reason why that happens is because if we are following Yahweh, he will correct us, or leadership will come and correct us, or whatever. And for the people who are, causing distension and attacking leadership and all of that, I come from an Amish Mennonite background. My family, I have first and second cousins that are Amish and Mennonite, and uncles and aunts and all of that. I'm not saying that I agree with the whole Ordung thing that they do, the shunning, but the concept is there that if they leave a situation or they're not walking according to Torah, that you allow them to go. And the whole mindset is so that when they finally look back and they realize they're alone and they're out here by themselves, that they realize that they've done something they shouldn't have, and that they will return back to Yahweh, to Torah, to learn more about Him. And so I feel like what he's saying and what everyone has been saying is really matched up with that. So I encourage you that if you are experiencing any problems like what Manny is, and even within the body, pray for each other. It binds us together as a congregation, and allow each other to be human, because, oh my goodness, I have so much baggage. And there have been so many people here who have allowed me to be human and be able to make mistakes and come back and apologize and make teshuvah. And I so appreciate that about this congregation. And just know that I pray for everyone here, especially leadership.
Amen. Wait, hold on to that mic for a second. Hold on. Okay. I want to use Christina as an example, just for example. Okay, so when you first showed up, we didn't know you from anybody.
No, not at all.
And as a ministry, your first thought is, okay, I need to figure out how much or what way to help this person and to help discern whether or not this person's just here for a handout or to take advantage in some way. Now, when we were working with you, did you feel like anything was going on other than we were just trying to help you?
No, not at all.
Okay? So we were still looking at those things, but we were not looking at it from the point of view like, I don't trust you, I don't know you. We were trying to show love. Now, bear in mind, some people say, well, I first came or I didn't get all that because you didn't do what she did. She asked for help. She asked to sit down and talk to us. So we made time after services and we sat down and we talked with Christina and we found out what her situation was. Some people come here and need tons of help and never ask for it. Never, by ask for it, I mean sit down and get counsel. And then they get all like, well, you know, Rabbi didn't do this or he didn't do that. Well, did you ever ask for anything? Did you ever ask for an appointment? Did you ever sit down with me? No. Some people just never do. And then they'll whine and complain about it. But Christina asked and she got help and we turned out that she was legit and she found out that we were legit. Okay, but neither one of us knew that, by the way, when she got here.
No.
She didn't know we were legit, and we didn't know she was legit.
I was actually, I had sought counsel from a very close friend of mine, and then I'm also a part of a separate Hebrew women's group that I told them my situation, they knew what was going on, and they all, like 85% said go to MTOI, talk to Rabbi Steve, and so I called and talked to, and I'd seen Rabbi Bergson's teachings a long time ago, but I hadn't really been following him as much because I'd gone from like Rico Cortez and all of these other people as well. And so I called, talked to one of the Shamashim, and they said, well, we'd love to help you, but we don't know you. Could you come tomorrow? And so I said I was already going to be coming anyway because I wanted to check out the congregation. And so when I came, they made sure that I sat down with Rabbi. Rabbi understood what was going on with my situation, and I had to just step out in faith that I was being counseled by wise women who knew what they were talking about and was looking out for my best interest, and then I had to sit down and talk to, and I prayed a lot. Sat down and talked to Rabbi, and then we ended up having like a roundtable meeting of all the people that helped us. And I can honestly say, like, my health was failing when I got here. I almost didn't have the strength to make it. I owe this congregation so much. You have no idea. I would not be here. I don't know that I would have survived it.
Amen. Amen.
And I'm so thankful for everyone here, for Rabbi having trust, enough trust, enough faith in me to help me, and for the congregation here to help me, and for me to, and me reaching out. And I don't normally do that. That's not something that I like to be the one that helps. I like to take care of people. It's my thing. I'm a nurse. So for someone to reach out and help me up, it's a huge deal to me. And I'm so grateful for being able to be here. I asked Yahweh for a refuge from the storm that I was in, and he brought me here.
Amen. Thank you, Christina. Look, if you are approached by the way, the ministry is not being openly attacked. Okay? There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes always. So we're not dealing with anything specific at the moment, although people are coming and going. But the thing is, if anybody approaches you about the leadership, you should first want to know what their relationship is with the leadership. Have you been in council? What was that like? Did you get good counsel? Because I got a bunch of people out there that are spreading a lot of stuff that have never been in council, don't have any relationship with me. And so they don't know me at all. And they're just spreading and spreading whatever somebody else is spreading and spreading or whatever. Why don't you talk to somebody like Christina or Tricia or Nate or Amy or any of these other people that have had experiences and have had those conversations, or Dawid and Kelly, okay? Or Manny and Michelle. I can point to, talk to the people that have a relationship because they've made the effort to have a relationship. And by the way, they all had to make the effort because I'm not woman friendly and don't make the effort. And they're all laughing because they know it's true. However, but I make the time if you make the effort. And I will give you as much time as you need any time of day or night. My wife says sometimes you don't have to take that call at midnight, but I do. Okay? But some of you are waiting for me to come to you. Ask the people that have had the most success in all this. They'll say, all I have to do is contact him. He's reachable, he makes time, and then it works out. Because that's the love I have for you. But unfortunately, not everybody felt the love. I don't know why. Usually it would be something where, whatever, I don't know. No, I'm not being sarcastic either, because once we sit down, hopefully you feel the love, the commitment, the strength. Even if it comes across in your face, it's because I care. And you should feel that. I'm pretty abrupt and blunt because sometimes you need to punch through the noise to get to that. But why would you listen to somebody and not know what their relationship is? Okay, what do you really know about this guy? Do you have a relationship with him? Oh no, I just have this information that I need to share with you. Okay, and where did that come from? And so you need to say, there are verses that talk about it, you have not tasted or you've not known Messiah so. Okay, well, have you known me? There are people talking about you who don't know you. How many of you have that experience in your life? People saying all kinds of stuff, and turned out the person saying it didn't even really know you. No relationship. So why should they talk about you? I don't know why people do what they do. I pray that they get it fixed, whatever it is that makes them do that. Okay, so this is important stuff. We might not even need a sermon. This is more important than a sermon. Because all of you can experience this, not just leadership. Because guess what? You should recognize, this is something I remember learning as a kid. If you are hanging out with people, and those people are talking about other people, recognize that one day that group is now talking about you when you're not standing there. So why would you, as soon as that's going on, you go, hold on, time out. Do not participate and don't sit there. Because if they're talking about someone who's not there, when you're not there, guess who they're talking about? Because I got people coming up to me all the time saying, oh, you have no idea what so-and-so says about you behind your back. I said, you're right, I have no idea, and I really don't care. And people look at me, how could you not care? Because I have a job to do, okay? My job doesn't include understanding it for you and applying it for you. So what you do with it is yours. So no, I don't care. Does it hurt sometimes? Sure, but I don't care, meaning I can't control it. There's nothing for me to do. People are going to say what they're going to say and do what they're going to do. I have very limited authority there. Even if they come to me and say, I like decisions, and I give them information, I still don't really have authority. They're still going to do or not do. So from that point of view, I don't have that level of being affected by what people are doing. Don't you either, because some of you get really upset. Oh, they're talking about me. Well, so what? Well, people are listening. Well, so what? Well, it's affecting my reputation. So what? You can't stop all of this. Now, me from the microphone, I can tell you to knock it off, and we need to. Okay? There was a chart one time about the, maturity levels, and the lowest level of maturity, people talk about people. At the next level, they talk about stuff. At the next level, they talk about concepts. That's your highest level. Talk about ideas. Okay? So if you're still busy talking about people, you're at that lowest level of maturity. Talking about people and things might as well be the same level. If that's all you got to talk about is stuff and people. Of course, if you want to talk about people and lift them up, that's different. And so, people will come to me wanting to talk about people. I don't do that. I don't want to talk about people. I'm always talking about ideas and stuff and how to fix things. I want to talk about you if you're talking to me. How do we work with what you're dealing with? How do I help you handle what you're handling about that person? And why are you upset about it and why you need to let it go? Does that make sense? Because this is a community dynamic. What the Father is doing is done in a group dynamic. That's why we have to love Him and love each other. It would be simpler if it just meant love Him. Okay, we just got to love Him with all the heart, brain, right? Then we don't have to do that by yourself. No, it's got to be in the context of a community, a forever community. And we are not ready for that. And if you get offended by that, good. Because you are not ready. I don't care what you think. If you're susceptible to any of this stuff, you're not ready for community. If you're talking about people and tearing them down, you're not ready for community. I get sucked into that occasionally, just like anybody else. Don't get sucked into it. It's easy to pile on. Oh, you think that's bad? This is what I experienced. Oh, everybody wants to top each other in the negative stuff. Don't do that, because all we're doing is tearing a person down more. That person starts hearing about it, you have no idea, but you might destroy somebody. You may take away all of their self-worth, self-belief, and they just may want to quit. Instead of going over and saying, hey, you've been struggling, we've seen that, how can I help? I believe in you. Anybody have anybody in your life that's a disaster? But don't you still love them and believe in them? They need you more, not less. Be encouraged by that. They need you more, not less. Oh, yeah, but they keep screwing everything up. They need you more, not less. Yeah, they keep screwing it up. By the way, that person might be you in somebody else's eyes. You're the one who keeps screwing it up. Just because someone in your eyes is doing it, what about you in somebody else's eyes? They're talking about you the same way. Oh, yeah, so-and-so, yeah, maybe it's not the same area of life. It's a different area of life. Talk about how you keep messing it up. Work on that plank twig thing. It's important. You know? Judge not, lest you be judged. Okay, you know what Amy was reading. Don't forget where you came from. Every one of you came from the, dead man walking. You were on death row. So what makes you so, uppity that you're going to look down on anybody? Really, right? Sarah Beth.
Before I get to my praise report, I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for this leadership. The whole leadership, the leadership team, Rebbitzin and Rabbi. But just a praise report, I was really, really looking forward to today's teaching. I've been struggling all week. And through no fault of anyone, it's my turn to teach, so I won't be in the teaching. Abba gave me what I needed during praise.
Good, awesome. So she was saying she was looking forward to sitting in the room for the teaching today, but it so worked out that she's now going to be in the classroom, and yet Abba still gave her what she needed. Now, she could have came here with an attitude, but instead she very graciously accepted that she needed to teach today because we had a situation where we needed her to do it, and she just, stepped up and did it. And if your attitude's right, He's going to give you what you need anyway, one way or the other. All right? But if your attitude's wrong, He'll give it to you one way or the other, and you still won't see it. And you won't receive it because you won't be in a mindset to do it. You won't be prepared for it when it comes. Now, who's next? Okay, Christine? It's like standing up in the middle of a sermon and now you got to say something.
That's true. So I had so many things I wanted to say as I was sitting down. But now that I have the mic and I have the opportunity, it's all left me.
Okay, so.
But, I really appreciated this family time that we've gotten to have. And there's probably several people sitting here or out there that wish we would move on. But this is This is amazing, and this is part of the community and culture and atmosphere that the Father is building and putting together through you, Rabbi, and through Rebbitzin, and that's remarkable. And ever since David and I have been coming here, we have grown so much in our marriage, in our walk, and I just want to praise the Father. And countless times throughout the week, I say to David, we are so blessed. Why is he blessing us? I definitely don't deserve it. And it's just amazing. And, as I look back since I was 14, the Father has changed me and blessed me and taken me through different tiers of understanding and changing and metamorphosis. And I just want to praise him for that and praise him for the blessings that we receive. And there was a lot more I wanted to say.
It's okay.
And I probably don't need to say it all. That's why I'm not remembering it. Yes, so thank you for this family time.
Well, I appreciate that you said a few things that gives me some more stuff I can say. In case you didn't have stuff, so you gave me some things that trigger. All right, but this is where I'm going to kind of get in everybody's face a little bit. Okay, so. All right. Stop thinking like a well-churched Christian where you have some place to go and you're in some sort of hurry and that the thing needs to get moving. We're a family. And sometimes we deal with family stuff and the family needs to talk. And also, okay, so first of all, because some of you went to churches where the whole thing was 30, 40 minutes, boom, you were out of there and went right to the Denny's or whatever, Okay? And our prayer time might go longer than the average service goes. But so what? It's Shabbat. Where do you need to run off to? But this is also family. And we're supposed to be doing it like, but it's services. Well, that's where the family came together to have a meeting. All right? But also, the second point I want to get in your face is, let's stop being so selfish. Well, I just don't like it when they do this too much prayer time, or too much this time, or too much that time. Who cares what you want? I'm not saying it, seriously. How about taking yourself and esteem others higher, and other people need this? So stop thinking about you and realize that this is for somebody else and they're needing it, so you should sit there and say, I'm glad they're getting what they need. Even if you didn't like this, because you're sitting there going, come on now, Rabbi, it's already been an hour, this prayer time. Well, so what? This is going to go until I say it's done. That's my job. But we get all selfish though. I've got people who'll say, but sometimes I've in your message, I've heard this before, that before. Yeah, but maybe someone else needed to hear it for the 12th time. Why does everything have to be filtered through you? This is a good part of prayer time. Pray about that. Why is everything filtered through me? That's the way you should ask you. It's got to be through my eyes and me. Well, this is too long, or that is too short, or why do they do this, and why do they do that? Well, why is it yours to fix? Maybe somebody else really needed what you were, too impatient about. Maybe you needed it and you were too impatient to pay attention. Can we just stop that? Stop being so selfish. Why would you just get to the message already and this part 38, 39 thing, come on already? Well, don't listen, but don't whine about it. Maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe you can realize that it's a blessing to be, you know what, I do a lot of blue social things now that I do not necessarily love doing, but I do it for the other people because they need it. Okay, you're welcome. Okay? And I do it with a good attitude because I know that's the reason I'm there. I'm doing it because they need it even if I don't. And so you do it for somebody else. Esteem somebody above yourself. Look around the room and recognize that some people needed this. Now, maybe not everybody, but others really needed this. Fine. Then be thankful you got to sit here while they got what they needed. Okay? And so let's not be so selfish and not be thinking so much like churchianity where, hey, let's get moving, we got to get on to the next thing. You guys are going to sit here till 8 o'clock anyway. Most of you. Or later, and then go to Five Guys and all that other stuff. All right? So what's the big deal if the sermon gets put off a few more minutes? Trust me, I'll have something to say when we get there. It'll be fine. All right? But you know what? This could have been the message. So why not embrace that? Okay, this seriously could have been the message right there. Because we're still failing in this area. People are still talking badly about people behind their backs and undermining people's progress, growth, and etc. They're still doing that Lashon Hara thing, the hurting people's reputation in a public way. We've got to stop this. And I'm not just talking about this other thing. He's just trying to do this because of stuff happening. No, this is happening. I hear this happening to you guys too. You guys come to me upset that other people are talking about you. Or I have to stop you when you're talking about others. So it's not just directed at me. We're not becoming the family he wants us to be yet. We're struggling in this area. So I was glad that it came up. Okay, who's next? Where's the mic? Okay, Amy again. And then Tamara wants to add up. I looked in a straight line, so you and Tamara, both of you in a row.
Well, Christine psst me and said she remembered what she wanted to say, so if she could go next, that'd probably be, she's right across the aisle here.
See, that's good, because all those people that want to move on are being tortured right now.
Well, I actually shared my praise report with Shira, who's home not feeling well, this morning, that the Father's showing me this, and I was so excited. And then I forgot the end piece, because you get nervous when you get the microphone. I'm like, oh,
yes, I know. It happens to me all the time.
I can tell, but you just never show us, which is good.
Petrified.
I see. You never let yourself sweat, though, and so I take that.
Good deodorant.
Mm-hmm. So what the piece that I forgot was that, I like to remember Devarim 8:3, the last sentence where it says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahweh. And for me, I'm a visual learner. So it's so helpful if I have like a picture or something to imitate. And when you said, just about the one piece earlier, imitate me as I'm imitating Yeshua, for me, you give me a visible image with the things you tell us to do, and all you're really doing is reading scripture. So you're just, saying the scriptures out loud. For me, you're that visible image of how to love people, which is something I so desperately needed because I didn't grow up with that. But I wanted it. But if for me, when I was just reading scripture, I kind of had my own ideas of maybe what that looked like.
Right.
But but for me, like I say, you're showing me what it looks like. So I really appreciate, Manny, that you were willing to stand up and share what you're struggling with, so we could talk about this, because when I take what you tell us to do, Rabbi, which is just the scripture, to me, it's these words that comes from the mouth of Yahweh, and it brings life. And so that's all I've seen in myself is applying what you're teaching, and my life is changing, and it's bringing life. It's improving relationships instead of tearing them apart. And in the meantime, as I said to Shira, the Father's been so gently correcting me, I almost didn't realize it was correction. So I really was thankful for that too. But I just wanted to add that.
Look, you know what? You all have just heard how many people have said how much they have felt and seen my love for them. Yet there are also out there people that are claiming that they never felt any love from me, and that I don't know how to do that, and I don't share and express love to the congregation. Now, isn't that interesting how those opposites could come out of the same group of people? That goes to make my point, isn't it? That it's through the eye of the beholder, and that their reality may not be the reality. Because there are those that will claim the opposite of what so many people here just claimed. So who's right? That's why you have to have your own relationship to see. Okay? Because that's where you get that wide spectrum. Okay, where's the mic? Okay, Selena? All right, push the button. If the light's on, it's off. That means it's muted. Okay.
Well, I want to praise Abba for finding this group of people that want to keep Torah, because now I feel at home. I will not stop congregating on Shabbat, so I kept congregating with whoever worshipped on Shabbat. So I'm glad you are all here, and I know you're tired of the topic already, probably, but I want to share that growing up in a ministerial family, I got to see a lot of things very early in age. So by the age of 10, I realized some people have a problem with authority, with leadership. And that's it. That's all it is. They are your friends until you're in leadership. They'll complain about the leader until you're in leadership, and then they'll complain about you. And that's how they spend their entire lives. So that's nothing to... And I'm glad there are people here that are standing up for their leadership, because it's not up to the leader to defend himself. It's the people
Amen.
of God, to put them in their place, because that's not led by the Ruach HaKodesh, and that's obvious. And as a ministerial kid, I was attacked and bullied over and over again. So I am so grateful when, like Michelle, and I think it was during Pesach, I was watching online, she gave thanks to God for the leader's daughter, because as a leader's daughter, I was not appreciated at all. And so it's so warming to see people supporting the minister's kids. It's just wonderful to see that they have that kind of support.
Amen.
And praise Abba.
All right, thank you, Selena. Awesome. Okay, I know that on this side, Tamara had her hand up. What?
Thank you. I guess I'm double dipping, but you did give me permission. So I'm so grateful for you, Manny. You shared my heart. You didn't even know it. And it's been a struggle for me also. So it causes these ups and downs that make you question things. But what I found here at Beth Shalom MTY is this is my safe place. And it took a while to get this. And I feel on a personal level, this is what people who come to our feast, who have to go home, feel like. It takes them about 3 days for them to break down their barriers that they have spent so long, making, creating, this protection around them. And then it takes about 3 days to be around us. And they finally break down their walls, and then they open themselves up to us, and then they become part of us. And then we love them from the day one. There are people that I met at this past feast, and the ladies know who they are. They just touched my heart the first day I met them. I mean, Tiffany's hugs, my goodness, the first time I ever met Tiffany, I fell in love with her because she couldn't stop smiling, and she gave great hugs. But one of the things that I was excited to come back last weekend, but we didn't make it because Olivia was sick, was to just express how much I truly enjoyed the company of people that I didn't even know that I'd met for the first time, and that I even more enjoyed was being with my family, being with all of you guys that were there. And I just wanted to give some encouragement to those who are not with us presently, but are with us online. We do love you. We think of you. We miss you. And you have touched us. And you have made your mark on our hearts. Amen. And I can't wait to see you again at the next feast. Because I know what this feels like. We were in Florida until, just after Sukkot, 8 days later. Abba changed our lives and brought us closer, and I'm so grateful for that. But I just am thankful for you, Manny, because I didn't know how to process that, and I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to ask prayer for it, but I'm so grateful that we had this family time.
Amen. 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 And I'm really grateful that you let your husband bring the bagels and lox last week, even without you. That's just my own personal appreciation. No, but I appreciate, look, see, so this family time was needed for a few people, okay? And so for those of you that maybe wasn't needed for, feel good for them that somebody got what they needed today. And hopefully at some point you'll get what you needed today, like Sarah Beth got what she needed even during the praise time. Okay, so just be open to that. Where's the mic?
It's over
Okay,
here.
Michael?
I'm hiding.
Okay. I can't see through David, but go ahead.
David, you're like, let me get over here so I can look.
That's okay, I can see you.
All right, so next month will be mine and Liam's 1 year anniversary of coming here. Thanks.
Wait, let me just interrupt for a second. Tiffany, how far do you drive to get here? How long does it take? Not Tiffany, I'm sorry. Tamara, how long does it take you to get here? 2.5 hours. Mike, how long does it take you to get here?
About 2 hours.
About 2 hours. So these are people that will come every week almost, and they're going 2 hours just to be a part of this. That shows there's something happening here more than just the teaching. They can watch the teaching online. Okay, they're here for more than just my message. They're here because of you guys, for the community, and they're willing to drive 2 hours roughly to be here. And that's really impressive. See, you're both sitting in line, you're both wearing black, and you're messing me up, and your both names begin with a T, and you just sit on other sides of the room next week. All right, go ahead, Mike, I'm sorry.
Well, it's just like what you were saying. You know, I'm missing some context for some obvious hobnobbery this week, but I figured I'd pile in with the, I do drive 2 hours every week here and then 2 hours back for just that reason, because there is something here that I can't get anywhere else. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate very much what you do. In this past year, I've grown more than the other 34 years of my life. And I just want you to know that, like I said, missing context here, but I really don't care. I know what I'm getting here, and I'm going to keep on coming back as long as you'll have me.
Well, amen. 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 All right, anybody else? Nate?
So, all my youth, I had...
See, as soon as David got you on the camera, you moved. That's okay, he's doing good.
I always wanted to be part of family, and I'm not going to give my whole background of my family. And so I always was looking for that. I would have family that would drive all the way from Michigan, and I'm like so excited. And then when I got older, I was always trying to pursue them and hunt them down and try to develop, hey, can we get together? And they never really wanted to spend time together, you know, to really get to know each other. And, you know, this journey, some of the things that really stick out in my mind, I'll be on my bike and I'll be riding, I'll be like, you know, Rabbi's only like a couple years older than me, but he seems something different, and I would say it's that anointed, appointed probably. That the wisdom, whether it's life experiences or if the Father's using you through the counsel that we get, is really appreciated. And Dawn and I have been married for 26 years, and we've been able to struggle through on our own power to get through where we needed to get through, because Abba's teaching us to grow at different intervals. And at certain points of our life, I know that we could look back and go, there's no way we could have sat under Rabbi at different points of our lives. Maybe, but probably not, because we just weren't ready. But I can see Abba's hand along the way that now he's brought us to this family, and now we have counsel. And our family, our whole family, my wife, my kids, we've all come to a place where we have grown, just as Michael was saying, where we've had this stagnant, you know, get into, well, I don't like it there, so I'm moving this way. But now we've submitted to authority, and now I have this family that I wanted so much. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, I'm like, did I really want that? And that's not in a bad way, because we all have our baggage. And, you know, it's learning, it's Abba's way of helping us to prune the stuff in our lives by the different things that we've learned. But I can look at somebody and go, wow, this is off, but wow, what an awesome person. My brother Manny, a brother from another mother, come all the way from California. He's got his little bit of stuff, just like I got my little bit of stuff. But I can say that we really love, and we're still learning how to talk to each other, because I have my misdoubts from family relationships or my mistrusts or whatever. But we agreed to come to this place to walk it out together for however long Abba has desired under the leadership of what we have through Rabbi. And I'm really looking forward to what Abba's going to do if we remain submissive and we agree to continue the journey together. What Abba can do if we're submissive to the leadership, as long as he is submissive to our Father, which I have no doubt that that's where he's at. So I really appreciate everybody that's, see, I'm going blue, sorry. So I just really appreciate that even though my family is in New York, and I miss them dearly, and there's no way that anybody could replace them, it's comforting to know that they're there, and even if I needed to get to them, I know this congregation wouldn't help me to get to where I needed to get to them. But I'm thankful that I have folks here. Manny and Michelle were always reaching out to me while I'm here, saying, hey, you need some place to come and eat tonight or whatever, and Tiffany and Chris were offering their place, and I know there's other folks that would have invited me over just to come and fellowship. Where my own blood family, it's not so much, So I love my blood family, but it's blood family. It's this family that makes a difference, and I'm so thankful. And I'm thankful, Rabbi, that you're pulling us all together, and you're correcting us. And you're helping us to walk together, to walk out Torah so that we can get from there, not as an individual from where we are to there, but as a group, wandering through the desert, through the journey, looking for our Messiah's return and trying to prepare ourselves as a bride, not me as one person, but all of us together. And for those that have left, if you're watching, I'm sorry you left. I know you've got your journeys. I still love you guys, and my heart is always there. But this is my home. This is my home. This is my tribe. This is my people. You're welcome back, but don't try to sway me to leave from here.
Amen. Amen. I want to excuse me. I want to just read something out of John that I think is appropriate. And I want to hopefully not make a wrong connection here in that I don't want you to think that I think of myself on any level like Messiah, but there was an experience Messiah had, and we're told to imitate me as we imitate Messiah, that kind of thing. Paul says that. That's kind of what the discipling process is, to imitate him, and then you imitate your discipler as he imitates him, etc. Okay? There was a time where Yeshua said some things like, hey, he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life. And he sounded like a cannibal or something. And you know what? The people were like, wow, this word is hard. Who's able to hear it? And he says, does that make you stumble? This is in John 6. And then it says, but there were some who did not believe. And Yeshua knew from the beginning, says, because of this I've said to you, hold on, my phone just lit up here. It says, verse 6 says that from then on, many of his taught ones withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Can you imagine? These are people who were taught by him. It's going to happen to any leader, any teacher. Okay? And then he says to them, what about you guys? Do you wish to go too? And Peter says, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life. Now, I don't claim to be that. What I'm saying is, where are you going to get this at this point? Whatever this is. It's not on this level. I get that. I'm not Yeshua. I get that. You understand what I'm saying? But what Nate just said, and what Michael said, and what Manny said, and what Amy said, and what Tricia said, where are you going to go and get this? Where are you going to go? And then if you really see the anointing and appointing, if that's what you see when I teach, well, where are you going to get teachings like this? And I'm not claiming I'm the greatest teacher that ever went around, but I don't see anybody teaching what I'm teaching. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm actually very sad that there's hardly anybody out there teaching what I think everybody should be teaching it. This should not be an unusual thing. But it is. And so where would it go? I don't understand that. Okay? So I just thought that maybe this section in John makes sense. Because remember, if we are imitating him as he's imitating Messiah, as each one of us is imitating up the chain, that means we're all going to experience similar things. where we're going to say something that maybe people think is hard or harsh, and people will stop walking with that leader. Just like with Yeshua, if he experienced it, we'll experience it. And then he'll say to some of the rest that's staying around, I said, well, you're going to go too? There's one time Julie and I came back after years ago, a split that was going on. We didn't know if anybody was going to be at services at all that Saturday. We did. We showed up going, I wonder if anyone's going to be here. That was about 6-7 years ago, but still, we were just like, okay. And she was like, well, what's going to happen if nobody shows up? I said, well, I'll just do something else. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, period. If there's nobody here, I'll do something else. That's all you can do. Okay? I could just throw it out there, and then you do what you want with it. But anyway, so Christine, obviously, you had wanted the mic? Yes?
I know. I was probably about to jump out of my skin here.
That's okay. I saw you jumping around. Good thing that Kurt saw you, too, and he came over with the mic. Go ahead.
Well, this is the exact conversation that David and I are having in our home. Would we ever leave MTOI? And I say, well, where would we go? He's echoing the words of life. Where would we go? So it's exactly the conversation that we're having in our home.
I appreciate that. I mean, look, and again, this is not a guy who's, that rabbi guy, his ego is out of control. I'm not saying any of that. I'm simply saying you need to ask that question that she just asked. If you were to leave, where are you going to go? You're going to go to one of those messy somethings? Messa Costal, Messa Baptist, Messa whatevers? Are you going to go sit in a house with 4 other families or 3 other families and just talk amongst yourselves with no anointing, no gifting, and no understanding? What are you going to do? Where are you going to learn, as Selena brought up, to recognize that you may have an authority problem and learn where you can deal with that? Nate certainly had that when I met him. He's not shy to tell you that he had no interest in leadership whatsoever when I met him. Okay? And I didn't force it on him. I just said, okay, and I walked away from him, actually. First words he said to me was like, what you're selling, we ain't buying. I said, good, I'll see you after lunch. That was fine. I didn't talk to him again until somebody, sort of forced the issue and had him ask for me to come talk to them. Okay? I allow you, if you want to be where you are, be where you are. But think about it. Where would you go? Where are you going to get what you get here? There's a reason people are moving here, because they can't get it anywhere else. And that's why 90% of the congregation has moved here to be here. Probably close to 90%. Okay? So I don't understand what people are doing. Oh, but somebody said that something happened 12, 15 years ago, blah, 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 in your life, and blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's 15 years ago. Didn't happen like they're claiming, but even if it did, so what? Are you the same person you were 15 years ago? I mean, come on. How about deal with people where they are? It's unbelievable. We're so myopic. We just are. We're myopic. We cannot see. We're so tunnel vision. We have no way of broadening to see really clearly. All right, so where's the mic? Over there, I'm sorry, it's Billie Jean. One of the people who's here longer than everybody else.
That's what I was going to say.
Good.
Where am I going?
That's right.
No, I have been here. I look around and I don't see anyone still here that was here other than you and your family that was here when because I've seen people come, I've seen people go. And I wonder why. Why would you leave something like this? And I know they have their reasons. I don't. It's none of my business or anything, but when you really think about it, why would you let something that doesn't, all we're here for is to hear the word. We're not here to worry about everybody's problems or what they do, we're here to hear the word. And I've heard a lot of different words, but you're the only one that the Father has really struck me with. And you and I don't talk a lot. I think I canceled with you one time because I can get what I need from the other people here, the other people that maybe have experienced something. If I ever needed to come to you, you would be the first one I came to.
Amen.
But I can't understand. But anyway, I just wanted to say that since I had been here forever.
Well, you started just a few weeks after we started, or a month. When did you start, right?
It was probably maybe about 7 or 8 months.
Okay. So that summer, that first year, you started coming in the summer?
Trumpets was my first day.
Trumpets,
It was
okay.
on trumpets.
Trumpets, that first year, okay.
Yeah.
So that's trumpets of 2012. So you already missed some of the fun that happened before trumpets. We already had a few splits before you got there. But you heard about them, and you came anyway. So we had just that one right before that. Yeah, but that happened in June, July. Okay, Stephanie.
Just after listening and thinking about what's been talked about, it seems to me that, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement. For some, this may be true. For some, it may not. That we have a hard time allowing our paradigms to be shifted. Coming into this walk, especially if you came from Christianity, you come from this place of, the pastor is somehow on a pedestal and should never do anything wrong and those kinds of things. And then we hear what you teach us, which is, you're speaking his words boldly, but yet you're a man who has his own issues. And that's a paradigm that's difficult to reconcile in your brain, because you have a lot that's somehow you hold them up like you're supposed to be more perfect because you speak the word, so you should be more perfect. And I think that, I say that about you because you've spoken about it publicly, but it's true no matter who you are. Even some people, I think that you come into this walk and suddenly you have this epiphany of something new, therefore we should all somehow be perfect, or we should do it better. And I think the fact is, we do it messy, we don't do it perfectly. The difference hopefully is we're trying, and we're trying to do the teshuvah thing. We're trying to make it right with people. We're trying to do those things even when we do inevitably make mistakes, say something stupid, like many of us are prone to do. I never do that personally, I'm sure. Stop laughing. I did.
You got to be careful when you stand next to one of your good friends who knows
It's
you too
true.
well, and you say things like
I'm
that.
kidding.
That's
Yeah,
right.
anybody who knows me knows I'm going to say something stupid. Doesn't matter, it'll happen. That's what I think. If we could allow our paradigms to be shifted a little bit, that all of us are here because we're trying to do something new. Give us each the space that you would want for yourself to do it differently to each other. That we would maybe not find that somebody needs to run because they wouldn't feel the need to leave or break away, or whatever it is that they feel the need to do, if we could just give each other that space.
I mean, if you look, we see this with politicians, any kind of public person, anybody that's now going to go and be held up in public scrutiny, if there's anything that they ever did that would ever be looked at sideways, it's going to come out. So where are you going to find anybody willing to stand up in front of a group and teach if everything that they ever might have done in their life is now going to be held against them and not where they are right at this moment? You're never going to be able to have anybody do it. Because I know all of you are very thankful that most of the people you know don't know you from back then. And so whatever the back then was in your life. And they only know you now, and they're only treating you how they know you now. As a matter of fact, some of you, I think, really like that you got to move here and have a fresh start, because nobody here knows you from back there. I mean, you get to recreate yourself with all new people and all new friends because they don't know who you used to be. I have friends still that can't fathom that I do this because they know me before I did this. They know me from when I was in college 35 years ago, okay? And so they're looking at me like, what? People sit and listen to you teach the Bible? You? Because they know me as that dumb whatever kid I was when I was a 18, 19-year-old whatever. And I'll all of a sudden run into somebody I hadn't heard from in 30 years on Facebook, and we're talking, and it's like they'll start laughing, like, really? And you get paid to do this? It says, these people don't know you. I said, no, they know me now. You don't know me. So you know me from back then. That person's long dead and buried and gone. Not that I was awful. I was just some dumb, naive, college-age kid, just like everybody else was. I didn't know my you-know-what from my elbow or any of that kind of thing back then. So they're wondering, how are you teaching anybody anything? Well, because you haven't seen me in 35 years. I've lived more life since you have not seen me than I did before when you knew me. Not the same person. But it still cracks one of my friends up, and he happens to be sort of an atheist guy, and so every time I talk to him, he laughs. He goes, people still listening to you? I said, yeah, you might want to try it yourself. Might make a difference. He won't, but that's okay. All right, where's the mic? Okay, Michelle.
First, I wanted to echo, it's true, where would we go? Manny and I just told you the other night, you ruined us for all other teachers. So there's nowhere else.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's been amazing. We're not sorry at all. And I just wanted to say, I was thinking that, when we first got here, we'd only been here maybe a few weeks, and I remember sitting down with Sue, and she was like, I really like you guys, but I'm afraid of getting to know you, because every time I get to know somebody, they leave. And it was scary. It was scary for her, and I was like, I'm not going nowhere, I promise. I'm still here.
There you go.
But, it is, people come and go, and you make these deep connections with people, and it hurts so bad when they leave and you don't understand, and, it's happened to, just, I haven't even been here 2 years yet, and it's happened a few times. But I have noticed that when it does happen, it takes me a while to wrap my head around it. It takes me a while to get through it and finally, to accept it. But
we're starting group therapy sessions in June. So.
But every time I've noticed, at least in me, a growth. I get past it and I feel stronger and I feel more connected to you, more connected to Rebbetzin and everybody here. And I have a more, even a deeper bond and a more appreciation, So, not to discourage, I just don't want, I don't want people to be discouraged in making those relationships, because it's going to happen. But again, as, like you always say, Abba causes and he allows. And even if it's for a short term they were here, it's for a purpose. And for, in my situation, I've grown from it. I've become stronger and more appreciative of what I do have. And it's, it just builds even more strength in me. And I'm happy to see that, my loyalty is strong.
I hope everybody was paying attention there, because that was the key, is that he allows, because it helps us to grow, to be strengthened. And it actually, I believe the body, that at least the piece of it called MTOI, is way stronger post-Sukkot than it was before, after all the stuff that happened there. And every time we had an issue and a split of any sort, ultimately out of it became stronger. And part of it is because the people that were, there were those they were among us, but they were not of us. Now, that's not to judge them in any way. They just weren't really committed, as many of you are. Had to go and leave. And when they leave, you feel the difference. You could feel that little drag that was there, or that little piece of that where people were not as committed. You could feel that now is not there anymore. You could feel more congruent in the group. So that's not to think negatively about them. They just need to go and figure out how to get more congruent. Okay? Because they had still unanswered things, and had things that they needed to grow in that just weren't working here. And so when they leave, things get better. And that's not to say that we should be like all glad they left. We're hoping they're going to get whatever they need to get done. But mostly I want you to hear what she said. She's realizing that she benefited from the experience. It was painful. It wasn't fun. But it benefited in terms of the growth, the loyalty stuff, and other things like that. Okay? Okay, Manny?
So many ways I want to go with this.
Hey, you started all of this.
I know. Thank you, guys.
We got to come up with a name for this message, because apparently this is the sermon, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. I just wanted to, those who have built a relationship with you would recognize right now, the fact that you've allowed it to go this far shows how much you love this congregation. So, first off, and I just wanted to reiterate what my wife was saying. Since you've taught us that deep lesson about Abba either causing or allowing, what a game changer in my life. Such an amazing, stress-free life changer that has been. And in dealing with this situation where people just infiltrate and then leave, it has been a tremendous, there's many people that have come and have been a blessing, and there's many that have been and become a lesson. And I can't control what they do, but I can control how I've learned from those people as they filter in and out, how I want to be, what I can be, and what I choose not to be, and what I will not be. And I just appreciate this group dynamic. Abba allows people to be here for a certain season, and I get that,
Mm-hmm.
Why certain people lack character and integrity, that's really what drives me absolutely crazy, because I've always been a guy that, I appreciate true character and integrity. It's like a way of life. It has to be. It has to be. In anything that you do, whether it's your relationship here at the congregation, with your family, your wife, your boss, whatever, our relationship with him, it should be all about character and integrity. But I do appreciate that this family has been through so much. And I've noticed that the people, there's many that have come, you're right, there's about 90-ish% of people that have moved here, but not everybody's put the same amount of skin in the game, and there's a big difference between those who have really gone through, pardon the pun, hell to get here, and really sacrificed and really have walked in emunah, to those who have moved here to be a part of something fun and cool and have asked for help and have had places to land and just knew where they were going to be, and it's all fun and awesome. And what a tremendous difference in going through that baptism of fire. Absolutely insane. The ones who have really put skin in the game, there's no way I can waver, because I know my life has been the exodus out of Egypt. From California, everything that we've done, everything that we've been put through to get to this point in our lives has been a reenactment of that exodus. Absolutely insane. And looking back, I can 100% understand in my heart why he allowed us to struggle so hard to get here. Try not to go blue. Thanks, Nate. I can understand why we struggled so hard and the way we did and the way he pulled me out. Everybody has their own testimony to it, but that anger that I had, and that's one of my biggest problems that I deal with, right? But that anger that I had with him and all the fire and all the tests that he put me through to get us here was for the purpose of having me founded so strong. There's so many things that people can say about you, about this ministry, about people. I'm immovable. I know what I've seen. I've seen the miracles. I'm not that stupid to easily waver by somebody whispering in my ear, because I know what he's done for the purpose of me being here in this ministry, not for, I'd have to be a complete moron. And that's just, I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm just talking about me, because I know what I've been through to be here. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate your teachings, and I appreciate your heart, even though many may not see it. Those who really choose to, sorry, my phone's going off here. Those who don't appreciate or take the time to get to know you, ultimately, they came with their own selfish agenda. They came, the proof is in the fruit. The proof is what you are when you get through the fire, and some people get burned. And, unfortunately, I feel like people that came and went needed to come and go.
Amen.
So thank you.
Appreciate it. Look, very good. Okay. And Rebbitzin had her hand up, but let me say this, okay? People lack perspective. They lack context. In other words, something will come up, it'll be something that got their attention because it's sort of, ooh, wow, really? Is that? And they forget, wait a minute, I've been here. I've experienced this. I've grown this much. My life has been changed. Don't lose that context when you heard the, what? Could that be? Or whatever it is, you know? Because when people talk to me about one of you, I go, wait a minute, but I know you, and I've experienced differently than what you're saying. And so don't forget to have that context and perspective to recognize, see, he says he's immovable because he knows what has happened in his life after making these choices. You know, a lot of the people that came here and left, I don't know how they didn't see that, because their lives were much improved after being here for a short while. And yet they could not see it. Okay? Just like when Dawid was talking about that family member, I don't know why the family member can't see how both he and his sister have grown since being here, and how that family member could receive the same help and growth. But we don't want to see what we don't want to see. And we want to see what we want to see. So we will latch onto for all kinds of immature emotional issues because of an offense or a hurt or this or that. You have to be susceptible in some way, predisposed. And that means that you've lacked perspective and you've lacked context in your experience here. And you've not paid attention to the testimonies of the people that you hang out with. And they're telling you what their lives have, are like before and after. Listening to Christina's only been here since January. Listening to all those who've been here longer. Look, and by the way, I don't claim anything. You guys, your lives are changed because you were submissive to authority and you did the work. Okay? I take no credit. I only claim that hopefully I gave some good counsel with his guidance and giving me the words to say, but you had to do it. Okay? And so you got the results that maybe some of the people that left didn't get, only because if they didn't get those results, some of them did get the results, but if they didn't, it's only because they didn't do the work. You guys took the counsel and did it. And so the results happened because you did. That's the way Torah always works. I mean, the whole covenant thing is that you get the blessings and all the results because you do. Those who don't do don't get the results. It's kind of fair. Makes sense. Rebbitzin.
And it's okay if I said, because
it's okay, you can say.
Emotional, yeah. Having a blue moment. I'm really appreciative of what's happened here today, because being the wife of the rabbi, I get to see, of course, all the ins and outs. And Manny, as he said, he's been working here and seeing some of that. But I know what your heart is like and what you desire to have as people becoming the kind of people Yahweh wants to live with forever. And when people make choices to leave, I just ask that they do it with respect toward us and toward everyone else here, because we're all people and we all loved each other at one time and we treated each other like we were family. So when you choose to leave, why would you leave without a word? Why would you make no regard to our feelings? And I'm the YM2I director. I'm thinking of the children right now. When you pull your children away from this congregation and they have no mishpachah, and the other ones that are left behind, and they're wondering, what is going on? Why is that family not coming? Why are their children not coming? Really consider what you're doing to your children and how this affects them, and their future. And for the rest of you children, I'm sorry this has to happen. Yeshua is not here yet, and that's why we treat each other horribly.
Amen.
It's really sad.
Amen.
But, Yeshua said, let the little children come to me, and we should treat each other. We should be like children and love each other and forgive each other and move on. It's never about doctrine. It's always over stupid things. It's, like in a marriage, you fight over stupid things. When people leave the ministry, it's never over anything intelligent. It's really just dumb stuff. And I just say this. Are we not supposed to be in the kingdom together? If you can't talk to me here on this earth, you're really going to talk to me in the kingdom? I want to be in the kingdom, so please, let's talk to each other and open those doors and not shut them on each other and show each other Yeshua. He wouldn't shut the door.
Amen. Amen. Now, that to me is probably the saddest thing, is that there are people that move here not just for themselves, but especially for their children, because they want a community for their children to be raised with other children. And then you take your child away from all this. What's that going to do now to your child? As far as now they're by themselves and they don't have, I mean, we've got a ton of children here. And what a blessing to have so many children to interact with. And to know that your children are being raised with the same Torah foundation, Messiah foundation, Yahweh foundation. It's just, a blessing beyond blessings. But yet, in our own, our own selfish ways, we think more, that, well, it's too bad, child. I can't go there anymore because of some whatever. It's sad. It's all very sad. Okay, who's next? Okay, Craig.
Yes, it's hard. I seen something this morning, and I think it's true in so many ways, at least for myself. And my own heart is, if I'm in a negative mindset, one negative thing tries to erase all of the good that I know that I've experienced. And it's so hard not to listen to that instinct that you have, because there's been times where it's been right. And it's hard to go against that instinct where that one negative thing just blinds us to everything that's happened that goes against that. And that we all have moments where we can be, unkind and not nice and not doing that. And if it's very difficult to allow the time it takes to emotionally get past that without also doing harm while you're in a negative state. I found it's very easy to spread things, to talk. It just allows all kinds of negativity. And if it's just, I don't know how to get really past it, but I think that ultimately a lot of times when people leave, they're just allowing that to happen, that one negative thing or one thing that might not have worked out perfectly, or they took something the wrong way, and they become blind to everything that they should have been paying attention to, their kids and everything else. And I think that we've been here long enough to see a lot of times what happens when people leave. And the longer we're here, the more excited I am to see what happens when people stay and work through the difficulties, which is, I think, the more difficult thing to do when you're really struggling. And it might even be where you don't necessarily know who you can talk to, but just, I don't know, it's just, we all just make it so difficult for each other.
Amen. Amen, that's so true. Who's next?
I'm really going to do it this time.
You look familiar.
Well, I've asked for the mic like 2 times and turned it down each time it comes my turn. But, Rebison, I heard what you were saying about the children. I was in the other room, but I heard it. And that really touches me because, I feel like the Father's given me a vision, and Rabbi too, regarding a school coming up. And one of the main things that I envision for this is to, not cry when I do this, but is to instill a culture or an understanding in our children how to communicate with each other and how to be humble and how to solve problems together, how to come together and to not go to others with their problems, but how to come together and solve problems from an early age as 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and kindergartners. And I feel like the Father's really given me a lot of insight and blessings from my experiences to be able to do that. And that's something that's really important to me, and I hope I've conveyed that the right way, because I feel like I'm stumbling over my words. But
Appreciate that. You know, there was a guy, I think he wrote a book or said some little thing was said, basically, all I needed to learn in life, I learned in kindergarten. Anybody heard about that one? You know, bring enough food for everybody, put away your toys when you're done, treat everybody nice. You know, I mean, there's some basic stuff that we forget that works in kindergarten, probably work in all of life. Frederick?
It's been a while, so I forgot.
It's been a while since you stood up?
No, since I've had the microphone.
Okay. You had a microphone during praise about 3 hours ago, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, that's automatic. They don't have a chair up there.
Go ahead.
So, just like some of these, I've had a moment of growth, and I have a new opportunity, a new position at work. And so this starting Monday, I'm reporting to a new location, same place, connected to the place I was working before. So it's a new chapter.
Amen.
Asking that can go well.
Okay, we certainly can pray for that. Okay, anybody else? Bring it back to, I'll get your name right this time because this is Tiffany. Hey, Tamara wants the mic in the back. Oh, okay.
Be careful, she's going to Tennessee it that way.
Yes, I do tend to see it that
Right.
way. My husband and I have only been here maybe 2.5, 3 months. I wanted my children in this congregation. I moved for my children to be in this congregation. And I've watched them grow and flourish in ways I can't do for them. I have watched them connect with Michelle and Manny, with David and Stacia, with you and your wife, with several people through the congregation. And this is something I can't give them. And I know when I send my children up here to the congregation, they're safe. They're going to be Torah observant. There are many people looking out for my children. Where can you go to get that?
I mean.
We're stuck. We're here.
Okay, I don't think I like the idea of stuck, but yes. We're staying, I get that. By the way, this has been my day to get names wrong, so Kitty, I'm sorry I got your name wrong earlier, but that's Kitty over there. Okay, my wife corrected me, so I knew that. I don't know why I'm just getting names wrong today. It was worse at Passover when people would come to sign up for like counseling sessions who I know very well, and I was blanking on their names to write it on the list. Where am I? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Must be that premature thing going on, okay. Okay, Dawid, I got your name right.
I would hope so. Anyway, I just wanted to echo some of the stuff that Michelle's echoed about where else are we going to go? I've been like 20 years looking for teachers, looking for what I needed to learn to be what the book says. And even when I first started to get into discipleship with you in Virginia, you told me from the very get-go that for me, I needed the affirmation sheet, I needed the 7x7 card, and did I do it right away? No. I did it maybe partially, doing the 7x7 card as much as I could, but I didn't know how to put together the affirmations card on my own, whatever. The point is I wasn't doing it 100%. And it's only in the last week that following your counsel as much as I could wholeheartedly, have I seen everything I needed to. But if you're not going to stay long enough to get past your own junk, to actually get to the point where you can start following that counsel, you're not going to see results.
Right.
And I think that's what some of these people have seen. You have to punch through your own stuff in order to be able to accept the counsel, because the counsel is the medicine you need, and it may not always taste sweet.
Amen. And by the way, when he's mentioned things like the 7x7 card and these other things, these are things I use in counseling. And so if you ever counsel with me, you might find out about those kind of things. So, but his point is that I gave him instruction. He didn't do it. At least he didn't do it fully, and he didn't get the results. And now he's doing it much more fully, and he's getting better results. Just showing that, submission to counsel. It's the doing, though. Did you notice that? He had the counsel both times. He just didn't do it. So the results were based on his actions. Okay? Okay, live stream. You guys are still there, right?
Still here.
How many do we have on there anyway?
We were about 497. We were up to like 515. We're running around 500.
Oh, awesome. The 15 people that left are the ones who just thought we were talking about this too long.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It probably wasn't that.
I start off. I got a suggestion for the name of the segment called Pruning and Strengthening.
Pruning and strengthening?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
All right, from Zach Cartwright. It says, I'm having severe pain in my foot, cannot stand or walk for long periods. Please pray it will be lifted so I may return to work on Monday, that I can provide for my family. From Kirsten C. Miller, asking prayers for our two-year-old son, Cal Miller, for healing off of his eczema and food allergies, and for getting him to sleep through the night. Cheryl T., prayers for peace between my brothers, unspoken, and praise that my son is healing well from his surgery after a motorcycle wreck. Aaron Sullivan, prayers for a coworker of mine. She found out this week that her brother she was very close to died, and they are considered it a homicide. Little information at this time, but is being investigated. Joshua Fox, please pray for healing for my wife, Marie. She just had the rest of her teeth pulled and is in a lot of pain. Also prayer for my daughter, Rebecca, who has issues with high sodium levels, and for my son, Andrew, who is sick. Alicia Cooper, prayers for Felicia Finley as she is recovering from having issues with headaches, and prayer for my oldest daughter having more and more headaches. For Pat Novak, prayers for my brother's heart surgery, my cousin's stomach issue, my aunt's heart issues, my adult children and their families. Prayers for my cardiologist and neurologist and the decisions that they are making concerning my care. Also prayers for my internist who is at the heart of my care. She had a stroke last week. Richard Yetter, asking for prayers for my cousin's family after her recent passing away. Laura Powell, please continue to keep my mom in prayer as her vision is getting worse. Please also pray for me as I have low vision, and my OT, obstetrician, is requesting vision therapy for me. From MTOI Lakeview, Ohio, prayer for health and healing for Carrie, Jim, Molly, and Micaiah. Prayers for Calendar family and the purchase of their new home. Prayer for Ben and his direction and his job situation. Evie Zamora, prayer for my precious sister May, that is a part of our MTY Downtown Dallas group. She's home today, not feeling well. We love and pray for complete healing. Sam Davison, please pray for Lyle. He's had a bad leg and is starting to have trouble walking. Also, please pray for Kim. She lost her job this week. From Sean Earls, prayer for my granddaughters that are living with me. One has pneumonia, and they're both running high fevers. From Kendall Phillips, continued prayers for my wife, Jessica. A dentist said her tooth is cracked in half and will need to be surgically removed, so we're waiting on to hear from an oral surgeon. Rich Wheeler, traveling Monday to visit my dad. It's been 2 years since my mom died, and I've seen him. He's lonely, but has shown some interest in the Torah observance. Prayer for safety and eyes open. From Doreen Quinn, prayers for a back issue to heal over. Also for guidance for a prep day. Adrian Bogle, prayers. Keep Aaron Murray in prayer and his dear wife, Rachel. Aaron is dealing with some serious health issues. We pray for Abba's blessing over the whole Murray family. From Lynn Spafford, just wanted to say thank you all for the prayers for my son. His life has been changing for the best. From Tamara Cartwright, need prayers Prayers needed for upcoming tests on a mass that may or may not be cancer. Prayers that Abba's will be done and healing and peace. From Robert Purdell, please pray for healing for Nancy's plantar fasciitis, which has given her much pain and discomfort. Nathan Hill, prayer request, please pray for my family and I that I can bless my wife and children to be the husband and father deserve, and that we can both be under covenant. Shirley Strickland, prayers, please. Doctor says I'm in stage 4 kidney disease. Linda Amack, please pray for me. My doctor is telling me my aortic aneurysms is very large and I need open heart surgery. MTY Lakeview, Ohio, prayers for Karen's grandson who is in an accident this morning and totaled the car. He seems to be fine. Prayer that he continues to be. From Torah Made Flesh, prayers for Katie as she's trying to get over the sickness she has. From Chuck Stalin, prayer for her ex-wife's brother Clay, recovering from hip surgery. That one. Sure. Mac Vallejo, please pray for me and my cough, then the cold that may be bronchitis. Carol Lopez, please pray for my mom as she has been struggling with being sick for a while now. Please pray for my dad as he continues to fight off cancer. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. And that's it.
All right, amen, amen. All right, so let me just add a few things. Of course, we want to pray for all those that have asked for prayer during the week, and we've done a lot of counseling and things like that. And so I want to make sure we're doing that. Also, there's a lot of us that have been struggling with stomach issues and other health issues and things like that. So we certainly, a lot of those were unspoken as well. I've been dealing with my own area, issues in that whole thing there. And of course, I've got this cough thing back that, has been sort of, there it is, just to show you what it sounds like. But anyway, I do that just because it makes Nate nervous and he wonders what's going on with my lungs. So to keep that in prayer. And let's go before the Father. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Father, we come before you and we want to just pause to recognize who you are, that you are a King, sovereign, creator of all things, and that all things exist because it's your will, and nothing that exists can be outside of your will, that you are fully in charge and all things must submit to your authority. Father, we thank you that you give us an opportunity to have a relationship with you in which we can come before your throne and thank you and praise you for all the things you do in our life all the time, and the small things and the big things that remind us that you're there, that you care, that you're aware of what's happening in our lives. And so, Father, we appreciate so much, and we thank you, and just can't say enough about what a difference it makes in our lives to know you and to know that you know us. And so, Father, we come before you with our praises. We have that which is spoken as well as that which is unspoken. And we are also so blessed and appreciative that we can come to you with our needs, things that are going on in our lives that we need help in, and we need intervention and healing and restoration and all the other things that we need, finances, health, relationships. And so, Father, we come to you just asking, seeking, and knocking, and ask that you would help us to accept that your answer is the right answer, even if we don't understand it, or it's not the way we would have wanted it, but that really it's your will that we seek in all things. So, Father, we thank you. We praise you for all that was spoken as well as unspoken. As we come before you, believing and knowing that you do hear and answer prayer, and we come before you in authority, and that being the authority of Messiah Yeshua, and together we then say, Amen, Amen, Amen. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the message. We're now going to have the liturgy. Oh, you laugh. It's 4 o'clock already. I'll have DeWeed come up and do the liturgy, and then we'll get some announcements. We'll see how that'll go. So if you'll all rise for the liturgy. And Sarah Beth, you may have gotten your wish. You got to stay here for the sermon because there won't be one. And that solved our YTY program problem for the day.
Everybody ready? Because here we go. Baruch Hu. Baruch hu et Yahweh HaMevorach. Baruch Yahweh HaMevorach leolam vaed. Bless Yahweh, who is blessed. Blessed be Yahweh, who is blessed forever and ever. Amen. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, thy tabernacles, Yisrael. Ve'ani berov chazdecha avov etecha eshtachaveh elhecha kodshecha be'yiratecha. And in thy great compassion I will come into your house. There I will bow, there I will fear thy holiness, O Yah, O Yah. Shema. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh is one. Blessed be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever. Ve'ahavta. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Mi chamocha be'elim Yahweh, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, osefele. Who is like you, Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like you, mighty in holiness? You are awesome in praise, doing wonders, Yahweh, doing wonders, Yahweh. Veshamru. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael, לעשות את השבת בדורנו. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורנו. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורנו. כי ששת ימים עשה יהוה, עשה יהוה, עשה שמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורנו. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורנו. Together, and the children of Israel shall keep the Shabbat, to make the Shabbat throughout their generations an eternal covenant between me and the children of Israel. It is a sign forever that in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. Amen. Time for the children.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring out the chuppah for the children. Grab that one. All right, we ready? All right, children, come on under. All right, let's get the children under there. All right, and we're going to be led in the prayer over the children by Bob Shepard. He's on HH2. Is it on?
Test.
There we go.
All right. If you'd put your hands out for children. Praise you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe. Thank you that we come to you with humble ourselves and our children because of the gift and amazing blessing you have given us. We ask now that you would help us to teach them love, kind, patience, that we would teach them all of your attributes, that we would especially teach them to fear you, that they may have wisdom. And I ask that you would give us that wisdom to teach them. I ask now that you would bless each of these families, all the new children, the ones that are the ones that are being formed right now, that you would put your loving hand upon each of them, that you would protect them, that you would guide them, and that we would bring them to your truth. And we ask now that you would bless them and bless each of our families, and that you'd watch over us throughout our time. We ask this in your dear Son's name. Amen.
All right, children, you're dismissed back to your seats. I should have made that announcement before you guys went under the chuppah. You get to hear the whole announcements. Everybody may be seated. Shh. All right, we want to go get some announcements here. And as we go into the announcements, so some of you might be thinking, oh man, I wanted a sermon. Well, then if you didn't pay attention, I don't know how you missed it. So I can't help it if you weren't paying attention. You got a tremendous sermon, okay? And most of it came from you guys, but it was a tremendous sermon. And some people say, well, but what does that have to do with Scripture? Everything. Because everything Abba is doing is building a relational community and understanding how we are to relate to each other. But some of you only want us to hear us talk about Him. Yeah, but He wants us to be doing what He says also about how we love each other. There's two great context commandments, you know. And the one that has to do with loving each other and building community is one we struggle with a whole lot more than the first one. So we needed to hear a little bit of that. All right. Hama'aseh v'hatrumah, the tithe and the offerings. The purpose of tithing, as we understand, is to put Yahweh first in our lives and to appreciate His abundant blessings. We don't take up a formal offering, but we do have a box in the back of the room over here where there also apparently is giving away free pens. And I can't help myself. Okay, so if you're online, we do have donation buttons on the website as well as on the YouTube, etc. And we do appreciate the support of what the Father's doing, if that's what you see the Father doing here. Okay, blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, King of the universe, who commanded and made promises to us concerning the tithe and the offerings. May you open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that cannot be contained as we walk in these mitzvot. Amen. Amen. Okay, so announcements. So first announcement is there's not going to be a sermon. It's already 4:10, so I think that is certainly okay. Will not affect those of you that look forward to every week getting one on YouTube. We always have extra ones because of feasts where we accumulate 2 and 3 during a week when normally it would only be 1. And so don't worry, that won't affect anything in terms of us having teachings posted every week. That shouldn't be a problem. All right, so you'll all have to wait for part 39 next week. However, first things, order of business. Today is what day in the Omer count? 21. So you guys figured out it's easy. Just add 10 to the date. Real good. I like it when it's like a weird thing, like adding 7 or 9 or something. No, we got to add just 10. It's simple. Today's the 11th, and then it's 21 days. Good. All right. Day 21. So we've completed 3 weeks. Awesome. 4 weeks to go. All right, so 29 more days, so Shavuot is fully come. Awesome. All right, I want to welcome our guests, if we have any guests here, especially also we have guests online. We are children of Abraham. We need to help our guests feel welcome. Today, in a little bit after services, which will be in a very few minutes, we'll have our own egg, and you're all welcome to stay to eat. I'm sure we're plenty hungry. Of course, my son had suggested, why don't we just take a break? I think Connor said the same thing, and then we'll just have an intermission, and after Oneg, we can do the teaching. Well, we already have meetings and things scheduled for after Oneg, so we're not going to be able to do that this week. But I can appreciate why that would sound like a good idea to you. Okay. So let's talk about some calendar stuff that's coming up in our announcements here. So after services today, we are having a congregational meeting, most of which was just covered today during the sermon, but some of which has to do with just functional things that we wanted to have for you. So we do want to have a meeting today. It was really going to be about, reintroducing the different leadership people, talking about different things responsibilities-wise, getting you guys to know opportunities for service that you could volunteer for. So just sort of, a meeting that we keep promising for weeks, and we're going to finally do it. We keep thinking, well, so-and-so's not here, or these people are not there, and we can't, so we want to keep pushing it off, but at some point we have to just do the meeting. So we're going to do it this week. And then also after that, we're having a post-Pesach meeting for those who will be invited to the meeting, and we'll make sure you know who you are. It's just a few of the leaders that were department heads for things that we do at the event. And so want to make sure that we have just a quick wrap-up from Passover and Unleavened Bread and a brief looking forward towards Sukkot, some of the differences and things that we learned. A little different than normally if we were going to be in the same venue, both the next time. We're going to be in a completely different location next time. So some of the things are going to be less predictable since we don't know really how things are going to work at Ridgecrest. Okay? All right, next announcement. This is not on the slide yet, but we have Financial Peace University that we're going to be running here at the congregation. We were actually supposed to have started it already, but we haven't gotten a chance to really organize it, and I keep forgetting to announce it. So those of you that are familiar or are not familiar, Dave Ramsey is a financial get-out-of-debt sort of expert guy. He's got a radio show, written a bunch of books, happens to be really good at this stuff, and has created a thing called Financial Peace University. How many of you are familiar with that? At least you've heard of it, okay? And a lot of church groups do run the program. A lot of other organizations run the program. Schools might do it. And so we thought it might be a great program to run here. And so if you would like to be a part of it, please see David Hayes to register. And I think it's, I don't know, he's got the price and everything. We're not going to talk business on Shabbat. But see David to register. A registration is good for the entire family. Okay, so if you register, you and your spouse can both get to go. All right, so that's, it's for the family. All right? Now, if you've taken it before, you can take it again. Okay, we just have to make sure they look you up, and okay, there's no charge to take it again. I think that's another nice thing about it. If you take it once, you can take it as many times as you want. It's all included in the price. Okay, and so that should start soon. We're also going to ask that you tell David what your preferences would be in terms of availability. Give him 2 choices. We'll try to pick the dates and times, the day of the week and times that will fit most people. We are not going to figure out a way to get everybody, because we have a lot of people that work night shifts and third shifts and all kinds of other shifts. So I'm sorry, but we will not be able to do that. However, if you sign up, all the stuff that we're going to do in the class, I believe, is recorded and internet-based, so that even if you miss the class, you can still take the class, essentially. You just won't be doing it with us here with a facilitator that way. We can coordinate it somewhat differently. All right, so just realize there are ways to do it, because the programming is available even if you're not here. So some people might miss a class. Well, you can make it up online. Okay? No, we can't live stream it because they have to pay to go. Okay, it's a course that he charges for. Okay, so and they send us materials and whatever workbooks or whatever it is, and then we give you passwords and access to the website so that you can watch the programming. Okay, so you get a password for that. All right, so I don't have a start date for that yet, but I want you to please let us know right away. We did preset for 12 slots, so we do have 12 slots that we sort of pre-arranged for with the Dave Ramsey guys. So. We have at least that. Doesn't mean we can't get more, but we do have 12 slots at the moment. So either 12 different families or some individuals that want to be a part of it, we do have 12. So the first 12 for sure we need to fill. And then after that, we can get a few more slots if we need to. All right. And that's part of this whole life coaching thing that we're trying to do, is to help you guys get your lives in order. And part of it is getting the finances in order, because the greatest stressor that most of us has is money. Okay? And those of you that are familiar with Dave Ramsey know that his stuff is actually pretty good. Okay? He's got very straightforward, practical stuff. It's very good about how to get your life in order, get out of debt, and get yourself to where you can actually thrive instead of, end up with more month at the end of the money, which most people are, doing. So, okay? All right. Then, of course, we have Torah study every Tuesday. And so that's every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The link is on our website. It uses a software called Adobe Connect, and you can be accessing that. And then on Memorial Day weekend, May 24th through 26th, okay, I will be up in Lakeview area for the M2I Lakeview congregation. And so I'm going to be up in Ohio, and we're going to be trying to see if we can work out something where I will broadcast from there. But we'll also be broadcasting from here. We're going to broadcast from here the praise, I think also the liturgy, and then I'll be doing the message from there. So the beginning of the service will broadcast from here, and then the message will broadcast from there. It's going to be an interesting technological thing that we're going to try to do, and we're excited to give it a shot. And so for those of you on live stream, so if it goes south or goes sideways, don't get too frustrated with us. We're going to try something, and hopefully it goes really well. And if we can make it go well, it'll be fabulous, because then that means that when I go visit other areas, I don't have to worry about not being there on a Saturday, which is hard sometimes for the groups to get together, except on Saturday. And this way I can go and not actually end up missing a Shabbat. I can still do the teaching. It'll just be being done from wherever I'm going. Now, on that Sunday, I will be doing some site visits with the two groups that are up there near Lakeview, Sam's group as well as Gary's group, and so we'll be meeting with them. If you would like to attend the Saturday, all right, or the Sunday is really for the group. So the Sunday is really only for people that are going to be a part of, or already a part of, MTOI, Lakeview, or the other group that's just a little bit, I forgot what direction they are from. I think they're north of where Gary is. For them to meet with me and to get to know me better. But if you're thinking of maybe becoming a part of one of those two groups, then you would also be welcomed on Sunday to get to meet me and ask all the questions you want. It's going to be a big open Q&A and get to know each other session. But for the rest of you, if anybody's within driving distance that wants to come and just visit the Lakeview group and see them on Shabbat, I didn't write Gary's number down, but email Gary at gflint, that's G for Gary, Flint, at mtoi.org, gflint@mtoi.org. Let him know that you're interested in coming. He'll get back in touch with you. Give him a way to call you so he can call you and make arrangements and let you know where everything is and what the deal is, okay? If you don't remember all that, just let us know and we'll put you in touch with Gary. Okay. June the 4th is a Tuesday. That's also Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Okay, that's Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And so that Tuesday, which is the Tuesday right before we get to Shavuot, all right, that Tuesday we're going to do a dinner here, and then we'll do a Rosh Chodesh and Torah study from here. Okay, we'll figure out how to do that. It'll either be on YouTube or Adobe Connect. We're not sure how the Adobe Connect thing would work yet, but we certainly could do it like we did last time and just live stream it like this on YouTube, which means that we won't have the readers to be able to read from online, but the people up here can do the readings, and then we can then have the interaction still like we do the live stream, ask questions from on live stream, okay? So mark that down, June the 4th, that Tuesday, we're going to have Rosh Chodesh, because that will be the first, so we have to get it in before sundown, but sundown won't be until like almost 9:30. So we're going to have dinner around 6:30, like we do often when we come for Rosh Chodesh, and then we'll have 8 o'clock, the service, followed by the Torah study. Okay? And then, of course, June 9th is Shavuot. Okay, so yay! And that weekend, you'll get 2 sermons, see? So don't whine about it. Okay, there you go. Because you'll get Shabbat, and then Sunday we'll have Shavuot. You'll get back-to-back messages, and we'll see. Unless, of course, I do something different on Shavuot like I've done in the past, and you may get a different type of message, but we'll see. Okay? But we'll be doing Shavuot on Sunday, June 9th. I believe we'll be scheduling it like a normal service, 1 o'clock, as we normally do. Okay? Let's just plan it like a normal service. It makes it easier and less confusing for people. Okay? With an oneg afterwards, etc. Okay? So we'll have services at 1 and like normal. All right, and I think that would cover it for that. I do want to also let you know in the announcements that we are excited and stressed with the fact that we did move most of our house finally. Yay. There is some stuff still that needs to be moved. Most of it's mine. Because it's stuff that I really would want to sort through more before I decide what comes and what just gets thrown out, etc. Mostly from my office. So that stuff's still got to come, and I can move most of that this next week. But we are now dealing with rooms full of boxes. As some of you who have moved over here know what that's like, so you guys can empathize. And, you know, and of course, my wife and I are very familiar with moving, but not lately. So it's kind of we're not used to this. We moved a lot in our first, 8 or 9 years of marriage, but we didn't move a lot since then. So it's been like, whoa, we forgot how much fun that is. Yeah. So we've got a lot of stuff in boxes, and so we're getting that finally moved in. But we are excited to finally be more fully, completely into the new house and have the old house pretty much emptied out, which is really great. So appreciate everybody's prayers on that we finally can get moved in there. That means that I'm not paying for a mortgage and a rent anymore, which was getting to be a little problematic, So just wanted to throw that out there, so we're there. Don't see anything else on my list. Is there anything else that I need to make sure to say? Nope. All right, awesome. Do we have anything special Shavuot-wise coming out with the YMTY partial pros? Do you put something out like the week before? Okay, so keep an eye out for the Shavuot edition, special editions, first fruits thing before Shavuot. So there'll be something for you guys on YMTY, and that'll work with that. All right. So that's going to cover it for the announcements. It is now 4:30, which I think is pretty good as far as like we normally try to end services. So it's weird going right from the announcements into the end here. But why don't we just go ahead and do that? Look, I'll just say a few closing words. Some of you thinking, all right, we'll be here another hour. No. Because I am afraid of the microphone. Okay. This thing that we're doing, and I don't know what else to call it, but this thing that we're doing, we're trying to figure out what it means to be a man or a woman in the context of being an Israelite, in the context of being a child of the living Elohim, in the context of a community. We got a lot to try to figure out here. And just like I said, my wife and I haven't moved in a while, so we don't have the context of what that felt like in a while. Well, you know what? You weren't raised with any context for this. Okay? We really weren't raised with this kind of thing as a framework and context. So we're learning all the aspects of it at the same time, which can get a little overwhelming. It can be a little rough. Because some of you, while you're learning to be an Israelite, are learning to be a husband, or learning to be a wife, or learning to be a parent, or learning to be, there's so many different roles that we have to learn to be that we didn't know how to do correctly. And some of you are learning how to be a child or a teenager or whatever it is that you're transitioning. Especially you teenagers have it rough because you're trying to figure out what it means to adult. And then you watch the adults and they don't really know how to adult. So we're having a horrible time confusing our children. Okay, because adulting seems to be a challenge for most people. And so then we bring all of that mess into a interactive environment with other people. And all of us are suffering from different levels of PTSD. We've all got trauma that we're still suffering from that can be triggered by anybody at any point. We're all dysfunctional. We're all a mess. And we're trying to do this thing that Abba wants from us, which is to become a family. Of course, most of us have our own issues already with the idea of family because we all have our own families that, like Nate said, he wanted his family in a certain way, but they weren't going to be what he had wanted them to be. And I think most of us, we would raise our hand, would say our families are not what we would have wanted or hoped that in terms of the way the relationship is. We're not as close as we might like to be. We're not, parent relationships or brother-sister relationships or whatever, just not what you always maybe would have hoped ideally it should look like. But we have an opportunity, though, as a body to experience that if we would actually make the effort and grow in that direction, to come to figure out what could it look like to be family, the way he intended it, to have those roles play through. How do we really be true friends to people? How do you be friends with people that can really aggravate you at times, but they need you to be their friend, and you need them to be your friend? Some of you could have some of the best relationships you ever had with people that right now irritate the you-know-what out of you. But eventually you could figure it out and get through it. Really, that could happen. But you'd have to get through it. Because underneath, I'm going to say something that should not surprise you or be profound, but underneath all of that stuff, if he's called you, should be something awesome. Every one of you guys online. Underneath all of that junk is an awesome child of Yah. And you got to have enough patience and love and compassion and mercy, etc., to sit there to help them find it so that you can friend it. Does that make sense? But we don't have a lot of that patience and compassion and time. We're just too busy with all our selfish stuff. And then underneath all that there is an absolutely fantastic person just waiting to shine if you would encourage it and give it space. And if all the people do it like when Amy quoted me, if you come as you are, but please don't stay that way. Okay, so your second shot at it got it right. Okay? But we have to accept that people are coming as they are. But are you willing to have enough fruit of the Spirit to find that person that's hiding underneath all that? Because of culture, because of the way they were raised, because of what the context of the abuses they went through or the neglect they went through, that person is hidden underneath a bunch of stuff. But it's there, you know? It's there. You know, it's funny. I just had this really strange picture come to my head. How many of you remember watching the movie, if you saw the movie Hook with Robin Williams? Okay, and he's claiming that he's Peter Pan, but the big kid grabs his face, and the little kid, and he's mushing his face up to try to figure out if he looks like Peter, somewhere underneath that. And he's going, somewhere underneath all that is this kid, is the little kid in Peter Pan, but now he's an adult. Well, somewhere under all of you guys, and I'm not going to go up and mush your faces. I might do some of you, but just for the laughs. But somewhere under there is that child of Yah. But we can't see it because we got to really look for it. And so that kind of reminded me, like from that movie, I don't know, that thought just came in my head where the kid is like moving his face around going, oh yeah, that is you. Under that old face. Well, you know what? We're all worn, life is worn on us, and we're wearing all of that stuff. Underneath all there somewhere, Yah made you, called you, and you're awesome. Some of you thinking, not everybody. No, everybody. Even you for thinking that. But can we get to that place where you can be with those people that really, doesn't make you feel like, they're so different than you are, but they're different. You're different to them. If they're different to you, you're different to them. And so can we recognize that? He made every one of us. All agree? He called every one of you. All agree? Well, then there's got to be something he saw under all that you need to see too. That's all. We got to use his eyes. And he sees the end from the beginning, so he knows where the person's going to end up, not where they are right this second. And that was a big part of the little sermon message we interacted with. That was the interactive sermon. Okay? Is that he sees even though we can't see it, because he sees where you end up. He knows where you can be. He knows what your potential is. But do you trust that? You trust it in you, at least some of you do. I know some of you struggle believing that. A lot of you have this self-doubt thing going on. You don't trust it. But even some of you that do trust it in you, you don't trust it in other people. You're like, look at them like, yeah, but. Not yeah, but. Don't be trying to figure out who's a wheat and who's a chaff. Don't figure out who's a sheep or who's a goat. Just assume everybody is a wheat or everybody is a sheep. And look for that. Try to nurture it. Try to encourage it. Support it. Believe in it. You'll have a lot happier life. And you might make some really awesome relationships because of it. With people you would never have made the effort with before. Because remember, everybody out there is just a moment away from closing up and running away. Because they've all experienced enough stuff to make them do that. They're all that close to just going, I knew it. See? Look at how they're treating me. I knew these people were just like that other group. I knew that this leadership was just like that other leadership. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. See? So many people are just a moment away from saying that in their own head or out loud. I knew it. What I want you to do is the opposite of that. I want you to look for that good stuff in there, and then when you finally go, I knew it. I knew that child of Yah was in there. I'm so glad I had patience and compassion, and I stuck it out to be a friend with that person. You know? Because you must be awesome or he wouldn't have called you. He called you because you're awesome. Not because you're special. It's because he knew you could do it. He wouldn't call you to failure. Wow. I mean, that's, chew on that for a little bit. Now, you got to let go of the Christian thing where you believed he already did it for you. You got to toss that out. You got to own that it's now on you. But when you own it, also own that he knew before he called you that you had what it took. You have what it takes. You can do this. Back to Rosh Kodesh. You can do it. But not just you, but you in the context of us and we and community. That's the big deal. I'm telling you, if you get into take my job just for a day, and you'll realize that the biggest problems that everybody's having is not trying to figure out, whether something is clean or unclean to eat. I mean, it's a problem sometimes for people who are not sure what to eat, but that's not a big problem in their life. The problems in their lives are their relationships. Those are the things that are causing them all of the stress, the ulcers, the health issues, the headaches, whatever. It's their relational stuff. And so we got to learn how to fix that. Because otherwise, I don't think he's letting you in just because you figured out how to keep a few commandments. I mean, he's building a forever community. That's the way I've always called it. That's what I really think is happening. And in that forever community, it's people in relationship forever. And if you really can't figure out, well, I don't like people, that's a problem. You need to figure that out. Now, you probably have good reason why at this moment you don't like people. Okay, there's a reason why you feel that way. It may be a legitimate one. But how are we going to fix that, though, since the future is forever with people? You don't like them now, why makes you think you're going to like them then? Oh, they'll all be different. Not really. They will, but they won't. They'll still have their own personalities. They'll still be who they are. They'll just behave more appropriately and be more submissive to Yah. And have most of their junk all dealt with. But you need to be growing alongside them while they're learning how to deal with their junk. You got to deal with yours. I don't like people. Well, you got a big problem then. You're in the wrong place. What Abba's doing is people-based in a group dynamic. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people in the kingdom setting up little hermit, caves somewhere, just sitting by themselves. It says, Yah or Elohim is love. And love is expressed in a relational way. Okay? It's not something that you do solo. You need to love someone. It's an outward thing, and then you receive it from. You send it out and you receive it from. By yourself, I mean, unless you're just going to be an out-of-control egomaniac and just love yourself, and that's very sort of narcissistic. Okay, that doesn't get you anywhere. I don't think we have any narcissistic crazies in the kingdom. You're going to have to deal with that stuff now. We got some narcissistic crazies now. That's part of our dysfunctional stuff we got to clean up. No doubt. But we have to learn to have outgoing love and receive love. Some of you can do the outgoing and you can't receive. Well, because some of you really have never received it from those that didn't have agendas or other issues going on. We have to learn to do this right and show people it can be done right. Because otherwise, he's not coming until I don't think he's coming till we figure it out. You can name all the dates you want. I think the only reason he's not here right now is because we haven't done our part. So you want to own that? Own that. That's why he's not here. It's your fault. I blame you. Blame myself. I think he's not here because we're not figuring this thing out. That's why I said I've often joked that if Paul were alive today, he'd have a meltdown of depression just watching everybody not be any different than they were 2,000 years ago. Technology's changed a whole bunch, but people are the same. Selfish, inconsiderate, blah, 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 blah. Self-righteous, self-whatever. Choking on the milk. I don't think I've ever said this before. I'm going to say it this way. I think that the commandment stuff is the milk. The relational stuff is the meat. Chew on that, literally. Because all these people want to talk about how the law is so hard. The law is easy. It is. Nothing hard. Tell me one commandment's hard. Really, come on. What commandment is actually hard to do? But how about the relational stuff? That's the meat. Loving your neighbor as yourself. Some of you struggle with that because you don't love yourself. Got a lot of self-doubt, self-loathing, all kinds of stuff going on. That's your meat right there. The mechanical stuff, Sabbath, kashrut, holy days, don't steal, don't murder, don't commit adultery. That's easy stuff. Come on. Loving somebody that's different, that's hard. That's what he calls them the weightier matters: compassion, mercy. Yeah, the tithing part's the baby stuff. Oh, you tithe even on the little leaves of the mint and the anise and the herbs and the things. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm glad you did that, he said. Yeah, but what about the harder things to do? How you treat each other. That's why those of you that maybe thought, oh, well, that was a long time, we talked about this earlier. Listen, we'll probably be talking about this forever until you get it, because this is the part we struggle with. And if you're not receiving this, you're struggling worse than you thought, because you're not even recognizing that that's what you need to deal with. This is something all of us struggle with to some degree. People are the problem. All right? And when we stop seeing them as a problem and start seeing them as brethren, and then we start making some growth. But we tend to see them as the problem. The guy who did my wedding, the pastor who performed my wedding, had said to me, I was talking to him when I first came into ministry. I've told you the story before. And I said, any advice? He says, ministry is about the most fulfilling thing you could ever do in your life. You think it's great. He says, as a matter of fact, it'd be perfect if we could figure out how to get the people out of it. Then with his British accent, he said, don't let the buggers get you down. And I should have looked at him and said, well, I think that's already the problem, is looking at them as buggers, whatever that was. We got to look at each other differently. That's so hard. That's the meatier stuff. Amen? Amen. All right. I think that's good. I think that's a good enough thing that we can close with that. I'm going to pray here because I just want Father, I want to come before you, and I want you to help us to truly embrace what you're doing relationally with us, with each other, not just relationally with you, but how much you want us to have relationships in the context of you, but with each other. To recognize our relationship to each other because of our relationship with you needs to be different than it has been. Needs to be more filled with the fruit of the Spirit, patient and joyful and loving and long-suffering and kind and gentle, etc., etc. And Father, we struggle so mightily because we've been through so much trauma, neglect, abuse, disappointment, that we don't understand we can't even picture what that relationship could possibly look like. We've been so disappointed so often. We've been so frustrated so often, disillusioned, taken advantage of, that it's so hard, Father, to see what this looks like. And so, Father, most of us can relate to Joseph and the brothers and see how awful he was treated, much better than we can relate to a bunch of brothers who actually all loved each other. And so it's hard for us to relate to what you're trying to do. So, Father, be patient with us and encourage us and help us to see what it is you're trying to do within this body to bring about the forever community at some point. So, Father, we want to thank you. We want to submit ourselves to you and appreciate what you're trying to do as we try to imitate you. We come before you then, asking and seeking, pleading our case before you in the name above all names, Yeshua our Messiah. Amen. 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 All right. So with that, Austin, you're off the hook. That was the closing prayer. So we'll put you on for next week. So anybody wants to be up here to close, you're welcome to come up here. We're going to wave Shabbat Shalom to everyone. And anybody wanted a sermon, that was your 20-minute version. Oh, it's okay. All right. Children, I know some of you are disappointed you didn't get your kids' class today, but you know what? We're about to get food. That's kind of almost as good. All right. Shh. Okay. We get everybody up here that wants to be on camera. Okay, who's not on camera yet? Rabbi Tom, you need to move in more. There you go. You got everybody? We're good? All right, so on 3, we're going to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and a Shavua Tov. Have a good week. And we'll tell them how much we love them. And mean it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Shabbat Shalom! We love you. We'll blow the kisses. There we go.
Ron, Raiden, Layla, and Arwen, love you guys. Miss you.
Love you, Mom and Dad.
Why are you choking me?
That's how much I love you. I want to choke you. I'm loving you to death.
Hey, that was loving me to death. You almost choked me out.
That's the best one. And we just did it to random people and it always worked. Yeah. We went up, we went into the church,